Lux your way with the Lux Cravings boxes from Taco Bell. There's the classic $5 box, the indulgent $7 box, and a whole new obsession in the $9 box, the Flamin' Hot Grilled Cheese Burrito. Try the Lux Cravings boxes at Taco Bell today.
How's your day going?
Going good. Thank you again.
Check out the all-new Blue and Orange store at the Boise State Hall of Fame. The Blue and Orange store has your best game day gear. We're talking jerseys, hats, bumper stickers, car flags, more than 4,000 hats on the hat wall. If you want the best Boise State gear, make sure you check out the Blue and Orange store online at theblueandorangestore.com or the all-new Blue and Orange store down at the Boise State Allen Noble Hall of Fame.
As sports fans, we may cheer for different teams, but there's one thing that we can all agree on. We want the game to be big. And with 3 levels, 30 cabanas, a 143-foot screen, 6 clean pools, and endless cold drinks, it doesn't get any bigger or any better than Stadium Swim in Las Vegas. All sports, all seasons. It's more than a pool deck. Stadium Swim. It's the only thing like it in the world.
Really, guys?
What? Jackson's always has those game ready.
Let's go!
Hey Bronco Nation, this is Kenzie with Boise State Soccer. When I moved to Boise, I thought I was ready for anything. Training, no problem. New teammates, bring it on. But driving on snow and ice, yeah, that was a whole new challenge. Here in Boise, winters mean real weather. That's why I'm so grateful for my Ford all-wheel drive. If you're new to Boise or just ready for a safer winter, head to Lithia Ford of Boise. Come check out the full lineup of all-wheel drive vehicles at Lithia Ford of Boise, and when you buy here, you're supporting Boise State athletics. Come see us at Lithia Ford of Boise, where Ford begins in Idaho.
Find your sun with Sun Cruiser Vodka Iced Tea. Made with real iced tea and real vodka. Cold, refreshing, and made for moments like these all year long. Let the good times cruise with Sun Cruiser.
When I want Boise State to win, I trust Coach Rice to lead the Broncos to victory.
And when I want the best painting and garage floor coating, I trust rowpaint.com to get that job done right.
It's time for the Jacksons Postgame Show on Bronco Nation News. We're breaking down the game with highlights, interviews, analysis, and most importantly, you. Give your thoughts on the game in the ICCU YouTube chat. Or leave us a message on the Signature Roofing voice box at speakpipe.com/BNN. The BNN Postgame Show is presented by Jacksons, where you can get a 99-cent 16-ounce coffee or refill with Let's Go Rewards. Need snacks or a cold drink? Visit one of the 300 Jacksons locations today. BNN broadcasts come from the Sun Cruiser Studios. Sunny days call for Sun Cruiser Vodka Iced Tea, made with real iced tea and real vodka. It's refreshingly smooth and easy to drink. Crack open a Sun Cruiser and let the good times cruise. Bronco Nation News is presented by our title sponsor, Lithia Ford of Boise, and our major sponsors, Taco Bell, Idaho Central Credit Union, RoadPaint.com, and the Blue and Orange Store. At Lithia Ford of Boise, we're proud to stand with Boise State athletics. Through our NIL marketing partnerships, we're investing in the future of student athletes. Lithia Ford of Boise, here to get you there, wherever that may be. Lithia Ford of Boise, where Ford begins in Idaho. Now, let's go courtside to the Sun Cruiser Studios and join BJ Rains for the Jacksons Postgame Show on Bronco Nation News.
I'm here. BJ, you here? We don't seem to have BJ on the Wi-Fi. So, look, this is a joint show. If you listen pregame or you heard us the other night, BJ and I are going to do a joint show in theory. BJ's having some Wi-Fi difficulty down there in the front row at the pit. So I'll hold the fort down until he gets here as he kind of goes in and out of the studio to reconnect. So BJ is going to start the show with me. We'll obviously break down the game that we just watched in the pit. BJ will have some reaction. They're live on the court, maybe with Coach Rice and a player. We'll break this game down. BJ, you there? No. Okay. Look, a lot of chatter in here. Ready? Heck of a basketball game. 91-90 the final. As Boise hands New Mexico their second straight loss in the pit. I'm Tom Moser here on a joint show again, the Jacksons Postgame Show on the Bronco Nation News Network for BJ, but also another night in the Mountain West for my show, which will transition into that as soon as BJ goes. And if BJ never gets back, well, then this will just be the another night in the Mountain West show. But I know BJ is going to try and get back in here. So, again, 91-90 to final in the pit. I see BJ down there. It looks like he has Drew Fielder if we can get him into the studio here with some accurate Wi-Fi. Listen, Boise shot the lights out tonight. A well-played basketball game on both ends. Andrews has continued to up his level of play, and that's he's been the key. I actually mentioned that. I was on in the pregame with BJ for a few minutes. I thought the key was Andrews. The New Mexico defense the last couple of games has not been on point. It has not been what it was earlier in the season. Even like up to 2 weeks ago. Boise took advantage of that tonight. Now, yeah, they made a lot of their shots, but they got open looks. They broke the New Mexico defense down. So good game plan by Leon. Coach Olin, on the other hand, not adjusting really well, and therefore Boise just kept firing away, getting open looks. On the other end of the floor, great game plan again by Coach Rice, taking Bouillon out. Bouillon was pretty much a non-factor. Look, Boise has plenty of bigs, and they're physical, but Bouillon's been a beast. He's been one of the best players in the league, certainly on the interior. And, for the Broncos to hold him to 7 points, he did grab 9 rebounds, but for much of the first half, I wondered if he was hurt or had foul trouble because he was a non-factor, and that's a credit to Boise. Look, this not easy to go in there and win. Boise does have a decent record against the Lobos during their time together in the conference, but it does not matter. Each game is its individual own entity, and it's not easy to go down there into the pit and win, especially with New Mexico coming off of a home loss on Wednesday. You knew you would get a good effort from them, and you did. Haupt was fantastic. The crowd was into it, loud crowd. So for Boise to go in there into hostile territory and pull off a season sweep of New Mexico, look, it shows you the potential of this team. We've talked about this on my show. I'm sure BJ's talked about it too. This is a team that you probably do not want to face in Vegas in 4 weeks' time. We'll see where the seed lines play out. They're going to have to win 3 games against good teams unless there's a pair of upsets that give them a lower seed, but that's just the way it is when you start conference play 1 and 5. So they're going to have to win 3 games in 3 days against good competition, and they're probably going to have to play 4 games in 4 days, to be honest. But they're going to have to beat 3 really good teams to pull it off. But if Andrews continues his play at this level, it really changes the outlook, because here's the thing. In the preseason, when this team was picked second or third by almost everybody, it was because they had guys coming into the program this year like Dylan Andrews and like Drew Fielder. And tonight, Andrews with a career high, and now 2 games in a row, he's been dynamite. And Fielder was like unconscious from 3. Now, yeah, they cooled off a little bit in the last 10 minutes because, they couldn't miss for a while before that. And it's only, natural to you're going to regress a little bit to the mean and miss a few. But he was on fire earlier in that stretch too. And so this is what you thought you were getting when you brought these 2 guys in. They didn't have Keene tonight. And Carmichael stepped up. I don't think he had a fantastic offensive game. Let me see if I can look at the numbers here. I don't want to put them on the screen. I'm still want to wait and see if we can get BJ in here. But if you look at the stats, Carmichael, he did finish with 16. Okay, he hit 3 threes, but 8 rebounds. And I thought his defense and his floor game was really on point. Fielder 18, Buchanan 13, and Andrews 33. So how about this number 2 for Boise? 26 out of 27 from the free throw line. And one of those, the only miss was in the last couple minutes, in the last minute, not when the game was out of reach, because obviously every point mattered, but they were holding a big lead. They made every free throw when it mattered. And, you make 15 threes and you shoot 26 out of 27 from the line. I mean, look, your opponent, New Mexico tonight, they make 52% of their shots from the floor. They shoot 52% from the field. They shoot 46% from the three. They only have 5 turnovers for the game. And you still win on the road with down a starter. I know Keene's not an offensive guy, but he's a glue guy. He's a guy who would defend and start the game probably on Jake Hall. But when Haupt went bonkers tonight, you got a career game out of Luke Haupt. If you're New Mexico, that's a guy that maybe, Leon throws Keene on and says, let's cut the water off here and stop it and shut this guy down. And they didn't have that option. So you're down a player. So, he had to shorten the rotation, as far as distributing the minutes, he didn't really, Parolin got 22 minutes. He made a 3, 5 points and 6 boards. So that's good. I thought maybe Aarons would get more minutes, but Leon obviously didn't think he fit into the flow of the game. Even Nato was he was there, but he didn't do much. So Leon pretty much went with like 6.5 guys without Keene in there. And that's incredible down in the altitude in there, in that environment with the crowd. So, huge credit. This is just one of those wins that, I hate to say it. Do we have you? You there, BJ? Ho! BJ is
I think
here.
We might have it, and it's just in time because Leon Rice is coming over in a second here. I don't know what happened. I apologize for that. No, I didn't know. I didn't need security details, somebody said, to make it out of here, but I've never had that happen before. I did get Drew Fielder, but I had to record it on my phone while I was restarting my computer. So I'll put Drew Fielder into the system here, and then I believe we're going to get Dylan Andrews also coming up. But sorry about that. Sorry for I had it all queued up. I had video of the final seconds ticking off the clock to play, and I don't know what happened. Suddenly it just said your browser's not understanding your mic or your camera, or I have no idea what happened. So
Okay.
Luckily the Broncos played better than I did trying to get this show going. But Tom, great job. I'm glad it worked out that you were here to help kind of get this thing rolling, because that was not the ideal start, and I would have been way more pissed off than I was knowing that you had it in good hands here. But I'm sure there's a lot of happy Bronco fans in the chat right now.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't even hit the chat because I was just, amazed at the game we just watched. Look, a lot of, they played good team basketball, and a lot of the chatter is starts with a guy who you're going to talk to in a minute, Drew Fielder. Dylan Andrews. So obviously,
Coach Rice is coming over here right now, so I'm going to cut you off for just a minute here.
Go ahead.
Get Coach Rice in here. 17th final trip to the pit. And Coach Rice had a pump fist for the fans as they were booing you as you walked into the gym here, and you were waving at them, I would assume, or could have on the way out. Coach, congratulations.
Thank you.
A lot of great memories here, and you're leaving with another great one.
Yeah, but, my fist pump was for an appreciation.
Yeah.
This place is remarkable. Their fans are so passionate, and they're remarkable. And they saw a hell of a college basketball game tonight, and some great individual performances. Their kid Luke, man, he was a hard guard tonight. He had 30 points, and they and then on our side we had so many gutty, tough efforts. Menno didn't practice for 2 days, and he was hurting. He was really hurting. I had to get him out at the end, and but he battled for his teammates. Pearson stepped up. I thought that was huge. Drew had some big moments. Start of that half, and how about Dom? Dom was, that offensive rebound he got kind of didn't ice the game, in hindsight, but that was a huge one. And, off the missed free throw, and away we go. But there were some really, and then, Dylan. What a great.
You could just tell early he had something about him tonight.
He had a mojo. And so, in the pit at altitude, you got to cycle a lot of guys through. But you can't, I didn't want to break up good lineups. I didn't want to break up good runs because it was kind of a game of runs and really good offense. But we had to get him out some so we could have him down the stretch. Because, he was cramping up a little bit with 1:20 to go.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And he was like, "Can you get me one defensive sub?" Well, Meno was out, and so I'm like, "But if we get a stop, we need you to make a free throw. So can you get one more?" And he did. He did, and I was just so proud of him and this team and how the progress we're making.
Yeah.
The progress we're making. DA handled the ball for 35 minutes, had 33 points, 4 assists, 1 turnover. And
wow.
They were in him all night.
Well, him and Fielder. I mean, that's why you went and ponied up and got those guys, Coach.
No
I mean,
doubt.
in games like this.
No doubt. But, the cool thing about coaching this team, I mean, we've been in some situations, all these close games that we talked about and all these overtimes and all this stuff. And you saw the result of that because we executed better down the stretch. We got the ball to our best free throw shooter over and over again. And it paid off because it's a fine line. I mean, if DA doesn't make all those free throws, that one ties it at the end. Now
it was never. I mean, I'm sure you weren't until the clock hit 0. You certainly weren't celebrating, but they would not go away there at the end.
3 threes in the last 14 seconds.
Yeah,
and in this place you've seen miracles, and I mean those were those are gutty free throws. You see what he's shooting into.
Oh yeah, well the whole team, Coach, 26 of 27, and until NATO missed that one free throw there, you guys were I think 21 of 21 or something like that. Crazy. I mean, there's just so many plays, so many unsung heroes and swings, and we talked about it. But this place, I mean, down the stretch, they were making so much noise, and you guys just had the poise to keep answering. And I mean, it just you've got to this has got to rank up there for you in terms of wins with what you're up against.
No doubt. And all the stuff that the journey of this team and the ups and downs that we've had, but the lesson and the thing that I'm most proud of is the way we show up every day and keep getting better, and you can see their progress is getting rewarded. That's when you become an even better teacher when, hey, coach, this is all working. Let's keep doing it.
Yeah.
And it's a fine line. I mean, you win by 1 point, you win by in overtime, again, by whatever we won last game. It's a fine line. And so those wins go a long ways in their excitement, their belief, all those things that you gotta, because you make progress, but it's a zero-sum game.
Yeah.
Making progress requires some outcomes to go your way.
One question about the game tonight. I mean, you guys was the game plan to take 35 threes, or were you just hitting them so you kept shooting them? I mean, you had 35 threes, only 19 attempts from 2. I mean, almost double the 3-point attempt. And then you got outscored 40-14 in the paint. It kind of reminded me of that San Diego State game in the conference tournament. Was that the plan, or they're hitting so you kept firing them?
Well, we got a lot of good looks, and you have to keep getting good looks, and that you don't want to tell them no, turn them down, and you got to have a rhythm to your offense too. You can't there's sometimes you got to grind them a little bit, and we had a nice mix because we ended up shooting 27 free throws on the road. Now they had to foul us at the end, so we got a bunch down the stretch, but that was the mix because they weren't going to let us have easy ones around the rim. That's their defense.
Yeah.
And so you kind of gotta be able to make shots against that defense. And we got ourselves some good ones because even a lot of those ones we missed, those were great looks on balance.
Oh yeah.
With great passes. I remember Spence drove baseline, got Peanut a wide open one in the corner. I mean, there was a lot. Drew got Peanut one. I mean, we were getting each other really good looks, and we were really understanding okay, 2 guys, you draw on 2, you've done your job, stay on balance, find the open guy. And we made them pay for that with 15 threes.
Well, final thing, Coach, before I let you go. I mean, you guys were 1-5 in conference. You were flying back after a overtime loss to UNLV, and you're in like 10th place or something. I mean, I know you've had, stretches in your career, but the last 3-4 weeks here, going back to that Colorado State game, winning 6 of 7. I mean, this team could have just teetered the other way. For them to come back and have the, some of these wins you've had, some of these games you've had, and to do what you're doing here and really give, hope and outlook for the rest of the season here with how, I mean, I don't know what fan wouldn't have watched these last couple of games. I've been super excited to when's the next game. I'm flipping that on. I mean, now you get a break, by the way, too, which is much needed. But this last 3-4 weeks here, what does this say about the makeup of your guys?
That's what I've been saying all along. Even we weren't getting the results we wanted, and we were in tough circumstances. And that's life. That's college basketball. That's sports. It's hard. And it takes a lot of fortitude and a lot of toughness after you give all you have and some things don't go your way and you don't get the outcome you want, to be able to get up that next day, put one foot in front of the other and come with great attitude and great work ethic and belief in your teammates and belief in each other and belief in the system and the coaches. And that's a credit to these guys, because if they wouldn't have done that, you're right. It easily could have went the other way. And they're not, I know these guys, this gets them excited to go and this gets them excited for the stretch run. Doesn't mean anyone will be easy. You look at this league, it's just this every night.
Yeah.
And, when you're doing all the right things, you bump the odds in your favor more and more. And that's what this team has done. And really, really proud of them. And we're enjoying it. We get a little more time to enjoy it.
Yeah.
And, but then we'll be back hard at work. I know we will. And I trust them with that. And so that's exciting.
Well, thanks, Coach, for your time. Like I said, 17 games here. You've been a part of 6 wins, I believe, with the one at Gonzaga, right, and the 5 here. But I'm sure this will be one that you're going to remember for a long time.
No doubt.
And it's got to be a great feeling for you heading out of this
It
building
is
tonight.
because, like I said, I did get a little sentimental walking down the tunnel, and they're all booing me. And
did you read the caption? It said Leon Rice, and under it said likes to be booed. And then they started booing you, and then you had the little double fist bump for them, and then
Well, they, the funny thing is the people here were gracious to me, and they were. They love it, and it's fun for some of them to have a villain, and that's part of sports. I love it.
I was the villain tonight, Coach. Did you see the sign about me? Some guy, I guess I had promised a subscription last year, and I never came through. So he said I never got my subscription, and I was.
Come on, BJ.
I'll make up for. I'll make up for it and give it to him. But cool, great win, Coach. Enjoy a little. How many days off they get? 1, 2.
Well, we got a good week planned.
All right, nice.
But we're also excited to get back in there. But it's also
who you got in the Super Bowl?
Who's playing? Oh, it's yeah. I'm a Northwest guy. I grew up a Seahawks fan, but it just seems too obvious, right? I don't know. Yeah. So I haven't given that any thought yet. I should. I'm a Seahawks fan. I grew up that way, but so I gotta go Seahawks. That's right.
Appreciate it, Coach. All right, guys. Thanks a lot.
See ya. Whoops.
Leon Rice, nice enough to join us post game, and he'll walk one more time up the tunnel at the pit. Victorious here at the pit in Albuquerque. And Tom, again, 17 games Leon Rice has coached at the pit, including Dylan Andrews is going to come over real quick, it looks like, here in a second. Oh, there he is. Tom, this guy right here, Carlos, right? Just give us a quick hello, Carlos, because we got an interview coming up. There's Carlos. I promise.
Hi, Carlos.
There we go. All right, I'm going to hook him up with a subscription, man. I told him that Dylan Andrews is going to come over real quick, and we'll get him on for a couple quick ones. Got to talk to the man of the hour here, Tom, right?
For sure. Go ahead.
33. I don't want to shortchange him at all, but Dylan Andrews, nice enough to sit down here for a couple of minutes.
What's poppin', Bronco Nation?
Oh, you got about 1,200 happy people right now, man, going crazy in the chat. They're all excited here, man. 25+ comments. Hey, heck of a game, man. Just I know you've had a lot of great, memorable games in your career, but in this atmosphere, with this crowd, what you did tonight, where does this rank for you, man?
I mean, it's pretty up there for sure. I mean, I've always heard stories about the pit, and one of the main stories I heard about is like, how you can roll the ball up that. And
did anybody do it?
Nah.
Okay.
We were close, but nah. JB was close. But just being able to play here, man, was a dope experience for me. Credit to New Mexico for how they came out and played. I knew they were gonna, put up a tough fight just because we beat them by 9 at the crib. And just the way how our guys just fought adversity throughout the whole entire time, man, that's just love to see. And I feel like we're just peaking at the right time.
Fix that right ear thing for you if you need to, so you can flip it around the other way. There you go. Yeah, all kinds of comments in here, man. Hell yeah.
Man, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys.
Dylan F. and Andrews, Dylan Ice in your freaking veins. All kinds of comments here. So it seemed like early on, though, just you hit a couple shots, and it kind of just felt like you were ready to kind of make this your game tonight. Did you have that mentality coming in, or once you hit a couple, did the baskets start to seem big for you?
I mean, 100%. Once you start making baskets, that confidence grows. But I'm not really into just, seeing my shot go in. I'm trying to get stops on the defensive end, and it sucked because it just seemed like that they just kept scoring over and over and over. And every time we huddled up, that was the main stop worrying about offense. Like, it's going to come. Let's get stops. But it did feel good to see that ball go in the basket. It felt like I was in flow state tonight.
I mean, it seems like this is one of the reasons you came here for games like this, to be a leader or be a player like this. I mean, you and Drew both. I mean, is this when you envisioned coming here for this year? I mean, was this kind of what you saw?
I mean, 100%. You know, the season didn't go the way we wanted to at the beginning of it. But I feel like, you know, the teams that you see who peak early in the season, they don't really make it too far in March. And I feel like, you know, you want to play your best basketball coming in March. And I feel like we're peaking at the right time, BJ.
Yeah, it certainly looks like it's 6-1. How do you explain this turnaround? I mean, I know the schedule has something to do with it, but when you get it's one thing for people to say, oh, you're beating teams at the bottom of the standings, but you beat Nevada in overtime and you come down to the pit and get a win. I mean, you're sending a little bit of a message here.
I mean, it's like I said when we were on that 4-game losing streak, a storm never lasts forever. And so I feel like, you know, just be calm through the storm, and, you know, adversity is going to hit and we just fight through it.
Was the game plan tonight to shoot so many threes as a team, or was that just kind of what they were giving you?
No, it's pretty much just what they were giving me.
Yeah, and for the team too, though. I mean, you guys took like 30-something, 50-something threes tonight, or whatever it was. It was, what was it?
30, I mean, I haven't seen the box score
35 threes tonight and only 19 twos. I mean,
wow.
Was that just guys were feeling it, so you kept letting it fly? Or?
Yeah, I mean, we got a lot of people on this team who are really capable of could go 5 for 5 from 3, 7 for 7. Like, you got Peanut, Meadow, JB. Like, I feel like everybody on our bench can really just heat up one night. And I feel like, you know, tonight was our night. The basket felt big. Especially in shoot-around today. Like, if you were there, man, you got this. Like, we were not missing today. And it just felt like that carried over into the game.
Well, I guess final question for you, man. Like I said, 6-1 in the last 7. Now you get a little bit of a breather here. You got, you know, UNLV coming up. I would assume after these last 2 games, you guys – feel like you can play with anybody at this point. I mean, how excited are you for the stretch run here?
I mean, I'm very excited. You know, we didn't get to beat UNLV at their crib, and I feel like, you know, with this win, you know, just keep the momentum going. And I told the guys, let's not get too comfortable.
Well, you're gonna have, I would assume, a huge crowd for that one too. Bronco Nation's fired up, man. Big win, congrats. Has it sunk in yet? I mean, you had 33 in the pit, dude. I mean, that's pretty crazy.
I don't feel like it's sunk in yet. I mean, I'm just playing basketball, man.
Well,
doing what I can
you
to
do
get
that
the team
very
to
well, man. So congrats. Thanks for your time again,
I
man.
appreciate that, BJ.
Dylan Andrews,
come on,
man.
Bronco Nation. Come on, we up. Let's keep going, man. Keep supporting us. We appreciate that. We always feel that. Thank you guys so much.
There you go, man. You heard it from the man himself. Dylan Andrews, 33 points in the pit. He's heading back to Boise, man. That'll be a fun flight home for the team after this one. Wow, what a win. Tom, I'm going to keep this for just a couple more minutes. We got Abe Jackson joining us here, our the color analyst, as we do. I know folks that watch Another Night in the Mountain West, I've kind of taken over Tom's show here, so I apologize for that, but we got some contractual things here we got to do, and Tom, I'm going to keep it for a couple more minutes here. Tom, why don't you give us one thought while Abe's getting ready? Or anything you heard from Dylan or Leon?
Well, I think, well-spoken young man there, Dylan Andrews, obviously played exceptionally all week here. But I think Leon, he was all over it. Like, there's a reason why the guy's won as many games as he has. Like, he pointed out a lot of the exact same stuff that I talked about when you were kind of trying to get reconnected here, just about, withstanding the shortened bench, really, how he needed to play the guys that were playing, even though, you have altitude, you're missing Keene. He stuck with the guys that he knew were giving him the good minutes, like Parolin is the glue guy, giving what New Mexico was taking, what New Mexico was giving them. So, I mean, listen, and you heard what Dylan said right there. It wasn't part of the game plan. They took what New Mexico gave them, which happened to be a lot of threes. Maybe that's a fault, as I'll get into later with Olin's game plan defensively, and the Broncos took advantage of it. So great job by them.
I got Abe Jackson with us, color analyst on the Bronco Radio Network, Learfield. Just heard him on the call, 670 KBOI with Bob Beeler joining me courtside here on the Jacksons Postgame Show. Tom, have another Sun Cruiser for a few minutes here while we
copy.
Abe, we said hopefully this would be a memorable postgame show here, a memorable last trip to the pit, and that was of all the games we've seen here during this series, another classic one, and what a finish for Boise State.
What a game. I mean, just put it up there with any of them that we've seen here. I mean, great individual performances. We saw one from Max Rice, Dylan Andrews. You could put it up there that it's maybe one of the best ones with the free throws that he knocked down at the end of the game. And the Broncos didn't have a field goal in the last, I think, 4 minutes and 15 seconds, something around there. But in that stretch, they hit 13 out of 14 free throws. So they were still scoring points. They were still putting the pressure on New Mexico. I mean, just unbelievable game. I mean, the pick and roll game in the second half, where the Broncos started 7 out of 7 from the floor to start the second half. and the pick and roll that had Drew Fielder popping out. I mean, you saw New Mexico take a timeout, a minute and 15 seconds or 20 seconds into that half because he just knocked down 2 threes. So that was just huge with those threes going down, and so big for confidence too.
26 of 27 as a team from the free throw line too.
Well, in pressure. I mean, you're staring right into the student section in the pit with 15,000 people screaming at you, and you just go up there and you make over 90% of your free throws. And when you do that in a close game, I mean, it just keeps them at bay. You're up 2, then you're up 4, then you're up 3, then you're up 5, and it just keeps them at bay. And the Broncos come out of here for the last time in conference with a win. What a huge win, too.
Yeah.
Not only for being here, but in this place, but for the standings, you beat 2 teams that I think you're going to be very close to in the seeding for Mountain West in Nevada and UNLV. And then you have another one coming in that has the same amount of losses as you, who just beat Grand Canyon and UNLV coming in next week.
Yeah, it's funny because the way they have us sitting, I'm kind of like I have fans in front of me and fans behind me, and you can hear like the actual individual comments throughout the game from the fans, and they just, the free throws, they just couldn't believe they kept going in. And Dylan Andrews, and when Fielder hit like those 3 threes in that span, he got fouled on the
4-point play.
I mean, they were just beside themselves.
I asked Bob
if
that might be, I wonder how many 6'10" guys have had a 4-point play in college basketball
hitting 5
this year.
threes or whatever
hitting 5 threes. What a great night shooting for everybody. And Carmichael with a huge game too, coming in for Keene. And we know that Carmichael can score. The questions with him were always, defense and maybe some rebounding. Played really good defense, had a team high 8 rebounds. So not only did you score,
Dylan Andrews?
I think so. Not only did you score, but you also did the things that Keene does, is rebound and also and play good defense.
And the crowd back and forth, the atmosphere. I mean, it was a classic tonight.
It's one of the loudest places that I've ever been for a basketball game. And I don't know if it got as loud as about maybe 5 or 6 years ago when there was a huge shot from New Mexico, but it was up there. You could put this up there in crowd noise with just about anybody. BJ right now is on the phone with Jordan. One of the players left their headphones right here. But what kind of a turnaround for this team too, BJ? I mean, from the beginning of conference, losing 4 in a row and not looking like themselves at all. And no one, and even Dylan Andrews will admit to this. We interviewed him after the Reno game, and he said, let's be honest, I was shooting so bad in that stretch where we lost games, and he's found something. He's found some confidence. He's found a little swagger that he has going up to the free throw, knocking those down. He's got to be the player of the week. I mean, with those 2 games that he had, the shooting percentage that he had, I think only 1 turnover against Nevada, 1 turnover here in over 30 minutes played. What a game. What great individual performances.
All right, so someone just gave us $10 because they want you to answer this question. We said if you give us money, we have to answer the question here on the Super Chat. Thank you for that. Doesn't like letting them roll the ball up the court. I know my understanding is that would be because you don't want to give them a chance to blow by you, before you get to half court. But why do they keep doing that the last couple of games, not picking them up till half court?
Well, I haven't asked Coach Rice specifically, but they did it on the last possession when there was only a couple seconds left, or when there was 8 seconds left. But I think one of the reasons too is that you just don't want to foul, because you're going to be getting the ball and they're going to be trying to drive immediately at you and past you. And if you foul, the clock stops, then they have a chance to score too. But I have a question about that too. Maybe a little token pressure to get that clock rolling. Yeah. That's the second game we've seen them let the ball roll all the way down the court. So
I mean, they were getting beat off the dribble a decent amount tonight. So maybe they're thinking you don't want to give them an advantage and let them blow by them at that point.
Yeah,
I don't know, but that is it gives. They're basically getting the couple seconds off the clock, advancing the ball to half court at that point. But Fielder, I mean, I know I mentioned him briefly, but I mean, look, 5 threes. They were leaving him open. He got a little 3 happy later in the game. I thought they got a little too. They should have tried to go in the paint a little more. But once you had they were 15 of 28 at one point from 3. I guess just keep letting it fly. But overall, they kind of took what New Mexico gave them in terms of they got dominated on the points in the paint, but they hit their threes and it didn't really matter.
Yeah, and the guards and Javen Buchanan and the guards did a great job of driving hard off that on-ball screen. So when you drive that hard, the defender who's guarding the screener, so who was guarding Fielder, has to hedge pretty hard, and he hedges all the way down, and then you can kick it right back out and knock down those 3-pointers. So just great playing and great decision making and taking care of the ball too. I mean, I think 11 turnovers.
Yep.
It was, so not bad at all.
I mean, like I said, you've been seeing some classic games here, man, and there's the crowd, and it wasn't easy. They kept hitting threes. You kept having to inbound the ball. You kept having to make your free throws, and of course the last shot goes in, but they still finished with one more point than New Mexico.
It just shows that those free throws at the end were so big. When you keep it at a 2-possession game, right at the end, you could just walk off the court because you know that you're going to come out with a win. And what's nice too this year, I mean, the years before, where you're thinking, okay, well, you only won by 1, but you were supposed to win by 3, so now you're going to go down in the stand. There's none of that this year.
You don't care about the style points.
You don't get style points at all. You just get a win any way that you can get it and move on. And so I think that New Mexico has a tough schedule coming up too. I mean, I know they go to Grand Canyon next. So, I mean, you could be looking at 3 losses in a row for New Mexico, and then they're going to be right there with you in those loss columns at the 5, 6, or 7 losses where a bunch of teams are huddling up.
Well, Abe, appreciate your time, man. Going to miss this place. Hopefully they come back at some point here. I think they might at some point. But
it's a fantastic place to catch a game. The fans are intense. The games are intense. It's just been – you don't get, and I'm not emotional, but you don't really think about walking out of San Jose for the last time, but you think about walking out of the pit for the last time after being here so many times.
Appreciate you, Abe. Thanks a lot, man.
Yep.
Abe Jackson, as always, doing a tremendous job for us post-game. He just got done on the call there on 670 KBOI with our man. I can take an Uber. That's all right. 10 probably, but 5 to 10, but it's your call. Abe's going to wait. He's in a good mood, Tom. He's going to give me a ride back to the hotel. He's going to give me a ride. He's in a good mood. We appreciate it. So I'm going to turn it over to you here in a couple minutes and let you take over. But I would just say this, Tom. Incredible crowd. It was awesome. They like the age of some of these fans sitting around me. I mean, they're in their 60s, getting on the refs, 70s maybe, and they know basketball here. There's not very many calls they agree with. I will say that.
Right.
Any fan base is like that, I'm sure. But when you're sitting like literally in the stands, you hear more of it than you do maybe at a Boise game. But the fans were into it, and back-to-back losses for them. I can't wait to go read Jeff Grammer's story and listen to the post game from there. But it was a heck of a win for Boise State. Who knows what it means, big picture. Obviously, they're not fighting for an at-large or anything. But in terms of seeding for the conference tournament and 6-1, I mean, this last almost month here, Tom, is the team a lot of people thought Boise State would be all season, and they're finally playing like people thought they would. Dylan Andrews is finally playing like the guy that they gave a lot of NIL money to go get. And I mean, if they're getting this version of Dylan Andrews the rest of the season, there's not a lot of teams that they can't beat on their schedule.
Well, when you watch this back tomorrow morning, or when you get home tomorrow night, or whenever you watch it back, when you're fighting with the Wi-Fi there at the pit, you'll hear that's exactly what I said at the open, that this team with the 2 acquisitions being Fielder and Andrews playing that way, that's why they were picked 2nd or 3rd in the preseason by everybody. And when they are playing that way, they can beat anybody. So if this is the Andrews that you get for the next month, then look out. Like, who knows what could happen, right? I mean, because they've been lighting it up. This is as difficult a place to win as any, right up there with San Diego State and Utah State. So, I mean, they're difficult places to play, and, they got to win because Andrews doesn't go for 33. The Broncos don't get this win tonight. So, it all comes down to that. As much as we want to break down the coaching and this matchup and this what this coach's game plan was, it comes down to the fact that Dylan Andrews went for 33 tonight, and he's had some games tonight where a lot of Bronco Nation wants him like on the pine. So, I mean, it's one way or the other, and you certainly got the good extreme tonight.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, I do have a couple sponsors I need to thank real quick, Tom, and I have about a 3-minute interview, if it's okay with you, that I did do with Drew Fielder that I'd like to play, and then I'm going to turn it over to you shortly, but for the rest of the action in the Mountain West. But on our Jacksons Postgame Show here, I do need to thank Lithia Ford of Boise. Online, lithiafordofboise.com. Check them out, Lithia Ford of Boise. Sun Cruiser, pick up a Sun Cruiser today. I'm sure Tom will tell you more about them later. Real iced tea, real vodka. Get a Sun Cruiser. Idaho Central Credit Union, ICCU.com. Idaho Central Credit Union, best in the business, the mobile e-branch online, picking it up. Pick one up today. They got past 75 and then some today, so you can get a 75-cent fountain drink at Jackson's on Monday. On Monday, 75-cent fountain drink since the Broncos got 75 from our friends at Jackson's. TacoBellWorks.com, the website for the SON Management Group, the Nicolason family. Get to a Treasure Valley Taco Bell location today. Taco Bell. Visit a Treasure Valley Taco Bell location today. Hey, the Blue and Orange Store online, theblueandorangestore.com. Get your Boise State gear, folks. The Blue and Orange Store, they got you covered online at the Blue and Orange Store. All right, I'm gonna come back to Matt. Tom, give me a defensive player of the game ready here in a second from Boise State. We're gonna have our sponsor segment here. If you can give me a defensive player of the game, and we need a player of the game, but I think that's pretty obvious who that's going to be. But Signature Roofing online at mysignatureroofing.com. Whether it's a re-roof or repair, an estimate, or an inspection, online at mysignatureroofing.com. Ridley's Family Markets, shopridleys.com. Shopridleys.com. 13 locations in the state of Idaho. Find a location near you at shopridleys.com. Rowpaint.com. 20% off those winter painting projects at rowpaint.com. Rowpaint.com, 20% off your winter painting project at rowpaint.com. And, of course, Transportation Compliance Service, TCS, transcompservice.com. If you want to get into the trucking industry, you can do it at transcompservice.com. All right, Tom, our Element Fencing defensive player of the night. Who do we got, you think?
Well, I think let's go off the board here. Let's go with Parolin. The Lobos did win the paint points battle pretty largely, obviously, because Boise made everything from outside. But Bouillon only had 7 points. He was not a big factor at all. And I think there's several guys that get credit for that. But I think Parolin was big in there. You heard Leon mention him doing a lot of things, and he grabbed 6 boards. I think he was clutch on that end.
All right, we'll go Element Fencing defensive player of the game. Decks, pergolas, fences, cedar, wrought iron, vinyl, they can do it all. Element Fencing online at elementfencing.com. I don't think there's any suspense. Our Matt Boucher player of the game, Dylan Andrews, 33 points tonight, an iconic game in the iconic venue here, 33 points. He goes 9 of 14 from the field, hits 5 3-pointers, 10 for 10 from the free throw line, 4 assists, only 1 turnover in 35 minutes. What a game for Dylan Andrews, our Boucher Real Estate player of the game. Online, BoucherRealEstate.com. Check them out. All right, here's Drew Fielder while I was fighting with internet issues after the game.
Hey, man, that was gritty. That was a gritty win. I felt really good. And it feels great to just see my guys shine. It feels great to see my point guard shine. DA was killer tonight. Man. Free throw line, cold veins, cold as ice. So that was awesome to see.
The atmosphere, man, just the back and forth, and they kept hitting shots. I mean, you never probably felt you had it until the final seconds went off.
No, I mean, and that's kind of how our season has been. Opponents' sliders always get turned up at the end of the game. But, hey, man, I love it. I love us being able to land the plane and staying poised, and our veterans being so good, and our young guys stepping up when needed, and it's awesome. It's great to be a part of that.
They were leaving you open, and you kept taking those threes, man.
Yeah.
And then you got fouled and had the N1. I mean, I know that's a shot you can hit, and know you can hit, but if they're going to keep letting you shoot it, you just wanted to keep shooting it tonight, or what?
Yeah, that was fun, but hey, all credits to the coaches and my teammates, man, finding me, putting me in great spots. Coach Duryea, got on my behind a little bit at half, just saying, I'm doing too much, just shoot the ball. And so it's great to have that, just guys who breathe confidence into you like that. So, man, I'm really happy I was able to, help my team in that way.
Were you guys settling for the 3 too much in the second half there? I mean, you were making a ton of threes, but what'd you make of, was that just what they were giving you guys, so you just kept taking them? Or, I mean, they dominated you guys points in the paint, but I guess it didn't matter.
I mean, we're really confident shooters, and, we've had ups and downs in our efficiency, and, it kind of happens that way, but we're just so confident, and we know that, the more we draw them out, the more we drag them out, that the better we're going to be able to take advantage of the, close to the basket. So we're going to keep working on it, keep, just sharpening things up. But, I have so much confidence in our guys to be able to hit those shots. So, I mean, that's why we attack from there.
You mentioned DA, man, but he's had an up and down year, and for him these last 2 weeks or 3 weeks, whatever it's been, his resurgence has kind of fueled your guys 6-1 stretch here. How much confidence do you guys have in him, and what's it been like to see him go through some of those struggles and now have 33 points, an iconic game here at the Pit?
Oh my gosh, man, I love it. I love the guy, and we came in the same similar situations. And so, man, it really just fills me with joy to see him just, hitting the shots and being such a leader and just being such a rock for us. And so I got full confidence, and I've had full confidence in him. And a night like this is not surprising to me about him. This is what I believe he can do every night. I'm more surprised when he doesn't hit shots than when he does. Man, there's 33 nights that it looked easy for him. And man, I'm proud of him. He's been a dog. He's been fighting his butt off, and I see him in the gym every day, and he talks to me, and he's just he's a great point guard for a big man, and I love the guy to death, and I'm really happy for him.
What in terms of this season, man? It's been up and down. Maybe it hasn't been the season you guys had hoped for, but here you are, 6-1 in your last 7. You now win at the Pit. You just beat Nevada the other day. I mean, there's a lot of games left here. How are you looking at the rest of the season here?
Man, that's basketball, man. There's some really good teams, and sometimes it doesn't go your way. Sometimes it does, but I've been talking about it the whole year. It's our process, and it's going back to practice, and it's just being together in that. And how we approach the game, it gives me full confidence in us to be able to pull games out like this. And, man, sometimes the outcome, like I said, sometimes the outcome goes our way, and sometimes it doesn't. But, man, it feels really good to be able to go back to the gym after a game like this or after a game where we lose, man, because I'm excited to go back to work.
So how nice is it going to be, though, to get a couple days off maybe here?
Oh, my gosh. Thank God. Thank God. It's about that time of year, so this was really timely for us, and I'm so excited to finish the year.
All right, and yes, Tom, Boise State does get a well-deserved break now. They have the bye. They don't play until next Friday night against UNLV, and then they go to Utah State the following Wednesday. And I'll tell you what, they're probably not going to feel great anytime you're going to play at Utah State, but if they can beat UNLV and they are on Friday night and already having a win in the Pit, they're going to go in there with a ton of confidence to Utah State. But I would just say in my closing thoughts before I turn it over to you, man, incredible game, incredible atmosphere. I think this is my 7th or 8th time coming here, and it's an iconic place. It's a really cool place. Boise State would die to have fans like this that fill the place and the student section and how crazy it was, but it was an awesome game. Give Boise State a ton of credit. Big picture, I don't know what it means in terms of, at large and all that. I don't think it means much, but they're trying to finish 4th or 5th in the standings, position themselves for the conference tournament. And like I said earlier, I don't think too many teams in the league would be feeling great about having to play Boise State right now. They're finally clicking on all cylinders. They're playing really, really well, and this was a big win, I would say, in the Leon Rice era. I mean, I know it doesn't mean much big picture-wise, but on the road in this atmosphere, getting this win with the way the season's gone, it's one that Leon's going to remember, as he said, for a long time. And it was a fun night tonight here at the Pit, and Boise State gets a much needed victory here.
Yeah, well said. All of them, both obviously Coach Rice, but Andrews and Field are well spoken. You can tell that it's the stuff that they mentioned, the words like the process, right, and things like that that gets hammered into them from the coaching staff. So they got good perspective on things, and that comes from up top.
Well, we've changed the graphic over. It's another night in the Mountain West. It's Tom Moser's show. I have a 6:30 flight tomorrow to try to get to Phoenix and then back to Boise before the Super Bowl. So, Tom, I'm going to let you take over. Give any final thoughts you have on this game, the rest of your games. Appreciate you as always, man. I'll be watching from back at the hotel. And a big win for Boise State, and I appreciate everybody for watching. Tom will keep it going, and I will see all of my viewers here Monday at 9 a.m. We'll be back to break this down some more. So, Tom, another night in the Mountain West is all yours, man. Appreciate you.
All right. Talk to you soon. Safe travels.
Thanks, man.
All right, everybody. So you heard BJ. We officially got the logo on here. I'm not going to do any of the sponsor stuff yet. I will tell you to go subscribe at the bottom. If you're still in here from BJ show on Bronco Nation News, go subscribe to this show at Mountain West BNN, at Mountain West BNN. So, look, a lot of thoughts that you guys have heard already. I do want to address a couple things because the question that as I was waiting and we heard we heard BJ ask Abe Jackson about the rolling the ball up. And I have similar thoughts to what Abe said, right? Here's the thing with that. I know it drives you nuts when they roll the ball and it just nothing happens, right? But offensive players have gotten so good at drawing contact that it's a no. There's only one option that you have, really. There's one option that you have other than just allowing them to roll it up, right? Because you see guys sometimes try to jab at them and fake at them. But again, guys have gotten so good at picking the ball up and initiating contact, or like BJ even said, just blowing right by. So I've thought about this plenty, I promise. The only way to really shut that off at all is to run two guys at somebody, right? So the ball's rolling up. And if you put two guys at him and you kind of surround him, then he's got no choice but to pick the ball up, right? But then obviously they have a 4-on-3 down in the front court, and you really don't, can they make the play? Can they make the right pass? What do you want to give up? So I know it's frustrating to like allow them to freely advance it without you pressuring them or taking time off the clock, but there's just not a lot of good options because the way the whistles happen, you certainly have a chance of a foul being called, which does stop the clock. I know the clock's already not running, but at least make them move the ball around and work time off the clock before they have to make a shot. So it's just one of those things that's changed in the game of basketball because 10, 15 years ago, before guys got so good at knowing how to do this, it's like guys drawing fouls now when they're shooting, right? Or getting a shot off when they're drawing fouls, okay? And so they had to change the rules. Like 15 years ago, nobody was good at like doing this. And so you could run somebody up and then they would pick it up. But it doesn't work. It's just not as easy anymore. So I know it's imperfect and it might be frustrating, but that's just kind of the way it is. So, obviously we talked a lot about Boise in here because it was BJ's Boise postgame show. So I do want to hit some of the New Mexico side of the game. Again, really well played game. You get a 91-90 game. The teams both shot the ball really well, an efficient game. I mean, I thought, for how many possessions there were in the game, 37 fouls, that's not bad. 19 for New Mexico, 18 for Boise. That's not bad, right? I mean, obviously some of those on New Mexico then were in the last minute-ish as they fouled. So I don't think you can really, the officials, did they make a bad call too? Maybe in there? Of course, it happens every game, but certainly like they weren't a big part of the game. I just thought that, and I heard a lot of chatter from New Mexico fans during the game about the game plan of Olin. And look, their defense, I said this in the pregame, has not been up to snuff the last two games. And Boise took advantage of that. So, we talked about how BJ asked each of the players and Leon, was it part of your game plan to shoot so many threes? And they each to a man answered like, look, it's what we were given. Well, they were given that because New Mexico couldn't really guard Boise. And a lot of it was Andrews couldn't really guard them off the dribble. And when you can't guard somebody off the dribble, it requires you to help, right? And when you help, then somebody else is open. And Boise did a great job of moving the ball, kicking to an open shooter, and they got guys open. I mean, if you look back to the threes that they made, maybe a couple of them were contested, but many of them were open on kickouts. And so, what do you do then? What are your options? Well, remember what game it was? I guess it was the Utah State game against New Mexico in the middle of the week, where I thought Olin did a good job in that game, ironically enough, of kind of like sticking to the Utah State shooters and not allowing them to get free and not really guarding their non-scorers. Well, so I don't know why he didn't employ that same tactic today. I have no idea, right? Maybe he would have had Keene been in there, right? Because Keene's the ultimate glue guy, but he's not much of a scorer. Maybe he just felt that the rest of the guys on the floor for Boise are threats. Clearly, Carmichael's more of an offensive threat on the floor than Keene is, right? We saw today that Fielder can make shots. Meadow clearly can score, and Buchanan can score. So maybe he felt like there's not a lot of good options to sag off, or you can't leave anybody, right? Like he was leaving Templin and Keller and even Gary Clark and some of the guys in the Utah State game, okay? He was just sticking to the shooters, Collins, Falstaff, etc., and not really worrying about some of the other guys. Well, Boise, without Keene in there, didn't really have a lot of those guys. But the bottom line is they were certainly slow to adjust. Olin's been good at making halftime adjustments, I think. Didn't happen tonight. He called an early timeout in the second half, maybe 2 minutes in, because Boise had rattled off like 7 or 8 points right away. And it was just kind of like, wow, like it's not working defensively. They were slow to adjust, and Boise just kept pounding, and it just kept getting open look after open look. So, you have to give massive credit here to Boise. Again, going down there shorthanded, guys, no Keene, so they're down a guy. You heard Leon say exactly what I said. Haupt was a tough guard tonight. He would have loved to have RJ Keene to throw on Luke Haupt, but he didn't have that option, right? So you have to go to plan B and mix guys around, whether it's Buchanan or Meadow or Carmichael, whoever you might throw at him, okay, and just kind of do your best. But look, the game comes down to this. In a 1-point game, it comes down to shot making, right? And Boise made a ton of threes. Hall made one in the last, he made the one to tie the game, but he had a couple at other points in the second half when he was wide open and he didn't make the shot. And look, you don't fault him for that. Like, it's not easy to make these shots. That's why they give you 3 points for him. Okay. He finished 4 for 10 on threes. You'll take that. That's 40%. That's pretty darn good, right? It just so happens that both Andrews and Fielder shoot 5 for 10. So that's the difference. That's what I tweeted out after the game. Boise made one more play. They make one more shot. And that's kind of the story of the game for me, right? So, I mean, you got to be thrilled. Like BJ said, 6-1 for the Broncos in their last 7. In the grand scheme of things, it really doesn't mean much. That their metrics have stabilized. They're not poor. They're not in at-large consideration. And even if they rattle off every win the rest of the way, we've kind of forgotten now over the last few weeks that they still have that D2 loss lingering over them, which doesn't count in the metrics, okay? So even if they rescue everything and win out, right, and make it, let's just say, to the conference championship game and lose there, and they would finish with a pretty good record then, they're still looking at that game that's not counted right now. I don't know how else to say it. It doesn't count in the metrics. And so that was something that we were talking about 6 weeks ago, and now we've kind of let it go, but it's still there. So I just think there's too much work for this team to do. But look, they're playing better. You heard Fielder mention it's about the process. What does that mean? That means that what Coach Rice is preaching is do the right thing, get better, and the results will speak for themselves because you're doing the right thing. And that worked out tonight. Now, I still maintain a lot of it's going to come down to how Dylan Andrews plays. Okay. If he plays like this, and he will be player of the week on Monday in the conference, but if he plays like this for the next 4 weeks, then yeah, they're going to be a problem. They're going to be a problem no matter who they play or no matter where they play, okay? Because there's a reason he was a UCLA recruit and played for Mick Cronin in the Big Ten at UCLA for 3 years, okay? The guy can play. He just did not have a good start to the year. So are we going to get the good Dylan Andrews, or are we going to get the Dylan Andrews that we got in the beginning of the season, okay? Now, on the other side of the coin, New Mexico's in big trouble here for at-large consideration, I got to think. And that doesn't even take into consideration what the rest of their schedule is. I guess in that sense, that's probably a good thing for the Lobos because they have the opportunity to go grab some good wins. They can go get a quad 1 win on, I don't know if it's Tuesday or Wednesday when they play at Grand Canyon, okay? But that's a difficult game. I mean, they're going to be an underdog in that game. They've kind of come back down to earth a little bit here, okay? So, and again, no shame in losing these games because they're 2 good teams that they lost to, but there's still 2 losses at home where they had this kind of aura of invincibility until Utah State shattered it. And then it was kicked in even further tonight by Boise, right? And what you're seeing is this, okay? I've said this all year, and this is just the way it is. And Lobo fans can like it, they can agree with it, they can dislike it, they can disagree with it, whatever. The fact is, they are not a top 3 talented team in the conference. They're not. I've said that all year, okay? What they do have is a fantastic coach. Now, he hasn't won them the games the 2 games this week. Okay, I'm not saying he lost them the games, but he didn't win them the games the 2 games this week. Didn't do it. Okay. The problem is when they go up against teams that are playing well or more talented than them, which was Wednesday, Utah State more talented than them. Tonight, I would say these 2 teams are probably close to evenly matched in terms of talent, maybe a slight edge to Boise, especially if Andrews plays that way. But that's canceled out by the home court advantage for the Lobos. But when Boise shoots that way, it's difficult to overcome that, okay? Because what Boise's gotten by on, what New Mexico's gotten by on and achieved this 18-4 record, how they've gotten that done is by doing everything right, making the good plays, and just kind of staying the course. And it's difficult to just do that against teams that are better than you or playing at a high level. Okay. And so it's just kind of what it is. I'm not down on New Mexico. I still think they're a good team. I still think they're extremely well coached. But as I said after the game on Wednesday, I just think that their ceiling is kind of capped. And that kind of goes back to what I said in the preseason. So, there are some Lobo fans that were giving me crap a week ago because I didn't think that this or that. Well, this is kind of why, right? And I'm not taking a shot at you guys because I hope you win every game from here on out, and get in the tournament. But the fact is that it is what it is. Okay, it is what it is. All right, I got to get going. We got to move on to some of the other games here. I know, I kind of was not in here for the first half of this, but we had 5 other games. We had a full slate, and certainly want to talk about a couple of the other games because there were 2 very good games. So I'll be quick with the next game, which was, I guess I need to, I didn't even put the stats on there, but we talked plenty about that game. But the other game that was late was in Reno with the Wolfpack and the Bulldogs. And this was a game that was tied at the half. Full disclosure, I did not watch the first half because there was too much else going on. I did watch the second half. And look, good effort by the Wolfpack in half number 2 to get this win. Neither team shot the ball very well. If you look at the numbers there, I'll leave them up for just a minute. 6 out of 24 for 3 from Nevada. It's pretty poor, although he did make a few late, which were important. Neither team turned it over a lot, so they took care of the basketball. Nevada, huge edge on the glass. I will say they did get Armo trading back. Alford kind of eased him in. He played 6 minutes. So, maybe he didn't do much, but again, this was all about him just getting back onto the floor. Besides that, look, Fresno, they played well, just not good enough, and Nevada made some shots late. Who were the culprits? Camper and Weems. Weems was solid. They both had 15. Rollison 11. He had a big 3 late. Price had 10 and 8. Lowry also had 9 rebounds and 8 points. So nice job by him. Heidbreder and Douglas both had 13, but they each shot 2 for 8 from 3. So look, if you're going to pull an upset off on the road, Gorey was actually their best player tonight with 17 and 5. But if you're going to pull off an upset on the road, you can't have your 2 shooters go a combined 4 for 16. It's just not good enough. So, look, Nevada did what they needed to do. It got a little hairy there for points in the second half because, they needed that one to keep any hope of postseason stuff going on. And look, we had a couple other losses today by New Mexico and Grand Canyon, as we'll get to in a little bit. So there's chances for movement behind the first 2. The top 2 have now pretty much cleared everybody else with a 2-game lead on everybody else. So spots 3, 4, 5, 6. Those are up for grabs with anybody. Okay. There's a lot of games to be played between those teams. Yeah, Boise does have, and I will get to some of the comments here. There have been a ton of comments. A lot of them obviously came earlier when kind of BJ was doing his show, and I did not get to a lot of them. And there's no way I'm going to get back to them. But, a lot of Boise State stuff, and, people are excited, as BJ said, because they have been playing well. And they do have a chance in the tournament. There's no doubt about it. Mike, Nevada pulls away late in arbitrating returns. I did just kind of say that. No doubt about it. Adam, 100% beating New Mexico in the pit is not pretty impressive. It's very impressive. So they don't lose a lot. And before Wednesday night, they hadn't lost there in 24 games. So, Kay Wilson, I agree. They could lose 3 in a row. Boise, when they, Boise's going to have the whole week off before they play UNLV at home. We'll talk about UNLV in a minute, but I don't see any way that Boise loses that game. I really don't. I guess it's a revenge game. They lost that game. Buchanan didn't play. You're going to get UNLV probably does play better on the road, but that's not a game that Boise's going to lose. So, let's see. What else anybody else on these other games here? So I guess the third last game then was an hour before these 2 late games. And, I didn't watch the first half of this one either because there was other stuff going on. Wasn't the most thrilling game either in the second half that I watched. Colorado State 65-57 in the Tim Miles Bowl. Miles going back to his old stomping grounds. And the Rams needed a win. They really did. And they got it. Not smooth either. If you look at the numbers there, both teams in the 30s again here offensively, 38% for the Rams, 35% for the Spartans. They both shoot in the 20s. Just remember how hot the Rams were early on in the season. They shot 6 for 27 tonight on threes. That's 22%. That's brutal. Look at the turnovers. I think some of that speaks to I hate to say it, but like the lack of defensive intensity on, you have 4 turnovers for San Jose State total for the game, 10 for Colorado State. I mean, it just, there were a lot of fouls called in the second half, but, first half was played at a pretty brisk pace, like a lot of San Jose State games do tend to be played at. CSU, a massive 48-28 edge on the boards. Their actually leading scorers came off the bench. He shifted the lineup and put Booth in instead of Bemba, and their 2 leading scorers were Bemba and Muniz, 11 and 15 respectively, even though they did kind of, Muniz especially got starter minutes with 26, and I still and 6 rebounds and 5 assists. I still maintain I really don't know why Ali has him coming off the bench. He's probably been their most consistent player. They haven't played great lately. Jorgensen only 4 tonight on 2 of 7 shooting. So they are, as you watch them more and more, and the shooters, mainly Pasquarelli and Rexsteiner, come back down to earth. Rexsteiner 1 for 6 tonight. Pasquarelli 3 for 7 from 3. Butler 0 for 3. Jorgensen 0 for 2. I mean, that's how you get to 6 for 27. But as those guys come back down to earth with their shooting percentages, you just kind of tell that this team isn't a top half team in the conference. They probably exceeded expectations in November and December, instead of like that was like, ooh, maybe they are better than we thought. They just kind of shot the ball really well and played above their weight, really. Garland had 21 for San Jose State on 9 for 20 shooting. Goodarzi had 15, which is surprising. He played all 40 minutes again. So Miles, again, just can't keep guys healthy. He played 3 guys 40 minutes. I mean, that's just absurd. In altitude, they're not an altitude team. They go to Moby and play 3 guys 40 minutes. Just not going to get it done. So good job by the Rams getting the win. But I mean, look, that's not. A win is a win, so they'll take it. There's no doubt about it. Okay, so let's get to the I'll talk about this one for about maybe 30 seconds, if that. 88-54, the final in Clune Arena with the Aztecs. Didn't watch a second of it, and I knew I wasn't going to. There was just no need to. What did we see here on the stats? The Aztecs shoot 60%. Don't shoot a lot of threes. I like that. So only 6 turnovers. Air Force turns it over 22 times. How did the minutes go? As expected, we have no Guath, which we knew, and we have no Harrington. So we figured they would rest those guys. DeGorville, a lot of minutes. Simmons, a lot, and then your normal. So a lot of balance there. BJ Davis had a nice game. So I mean, look, that's what they should do, and it was 3-0. Air Force was the first score I saw, and then that was all she wrote about that guy. So good job by the Aztecs taking care of business. Not surprised by the last 2 losses at home by the Lobos. Expected this earlier in the season than now, but who knows? You thought New Mexico would struggle earlier. Yeah, I don't think I actually finished my thought on. I get so off track here with the Lobos on the bubble. I just think they're in trouble right now, right? I guess I did because I talked about their upcoming games. I just don't see them winning these games. Maybe they can win at GCU. I mean, do we think they can win it at the Spectrum against Utah State? I mean, I don't, right? Can they beat the Aztecs at the Pit? They've just lost 2 games at the Pit. San Diego State is playing better basketball than New Mexico right now. Things change in a hurry. But even going back to the San Jose State game last Saturday, they didn't play great in that game either. I mean, they made shots, but they gave up 80 points to San Jose State. So, I mean, that's 3 games in a row where their defense has kind of been exposed. And, prior to that, we were saying how they were the best defense in the league, or at least 1 and 1A with San Diego State. And now they've gotten lit up 3 games in a row. So that's not a good thing here moving forward. All right, let's get to the last 2 games, because I want to spend some time on these 2 games, certainly with the exception of the thriller here in the Pit. These 2 games were very good games for different reasons. I mean, the first game wasn't great until the last 2 minutes, but the game at Laramie was a good basketball game, very good game. 85-83 was the final, won by Utah State. It wasn't easy. They, I'm sure, made Aggie Nation sweat this one out, as this could have been a really disastrous loss. I guess with how high Wyoming is in the net, and they're probably not going to drop much at all after this one either, because they played very competitively. I probably would have only been a quad 2 loss, but you're playing with fire the more losses you add on here. And with games to come yet at Viejas and against Grand Canyon at home and New Mexico at home, you have some, and Boise at home, as we talked about. There's some games that aren't going to be freebies on here. So you can't lose games against teams in the bottom half. Wyoming's a tough out. tough to play at altitude. You didn't expect it to be the same as a 30-point blowout they played a week ago. You probably should have got that sense right from the start when Sundance didn't come out in that zone that was completely ineffective a week and a half ago. And as a result, they hung around. And I mean, look, I wanted to look at the stats a little bit more as I took them off, but Utah State shoots 64% from the field. 64% from the field, and they win the game by 2 points. I mean, look, it's hard to win on the road in college basketball. We've talked about that. Now, you go to Air Force or San Jose State, largely, that's a different story. But it's difficult to win on the road. It doesn't matter what conference you're in, against teams that play hard, that are well coached. Sundance knows what he's doing. He was shorthanded, but he got his guys to play hard tonight. They also made 11 threes. They took a lot. They made 14 out of 16 from the line, 11 threes. They shoot 45% from floor. They only turn it over 7 times. So Utah State didn't get a lot in transition. Fast break points, he did outscore them 17-4, and they outscored the Cowboys 46-30 in the paint. I didn't know Dennis went for 20 for Wyoming. He shot 8 for 13 and had 6 rebounds. So nice game for him. 19 for Meyer. This was his best game since he got banged up a few weeks ago. Bennett and Walker also in double figures, but Sundance only had 8 guys to play. For Utah State, Falslev 27 and Collins 20. Your 2 stud guys delivered. They combined for 47. Collins made his free throws, except for the one late. Drake Allen was pretty solid. He fouled out on a questionable call. Keller played well in the first half, didn't get a lot of run late. El Amin was pretty quiet, I thought. I'm surprised to see he played 30 minutes because I thought he was pretty quiet. Gary Clark was okay. Templin wasn't much of a factor in this one. But, what's interesting is this one, let's right at the end, it's odd. The announcers and myself too, that, the Aggies almost like, I don't want to say they just thought they had it in a bag. They were up 9 with a little over a minute to go. And I think they had the ball up 6 or 7. And the announcers with like 50 seconds left, when Utah State had the ball, were calling for Wyoming to foul. And I thought it was the right decision too, because they did dribble it all the way down, and Wyoming was only going to get the ball with like 25 seconds left, down by 6 or 7. And it ended up working out because of like just a strange, series of events that played out, a foul here, a make there. And before you know it, Collins misses the second free throw and Wyoming's got the ball. And I mean, a few people said it, and I agree. I'm surprised and really, really, frankly, surprised that they didn't go for shoot a 3, that they just went for the 2. Now, Meyer's a freshman. There was no timeout called after the miss and the rebound, but Sundance had called timeout in between the free throws, and there was plenty of time to go over like what you're doing. Now, obviously, if he makes the free throw and you're down 3, maybe he was trying to say, well, we got to get a 3 up before Utah State fouls, okay? But like, you got to go over both scenarios. You got to say, well, if he misses, we're only down 2. Let's get a drive and kick, because what they got was a very poor attempt at the rim by Meyer. Now, again, Meyer's a freshman. It's not easy in those moments to make a play. His mind's going a million miles an hour. He's thinking about this. He's thinking about that. And, he just wants to get a shot up, and it got up, and, Templin made a nice play then diving on the floor to kind of keep the ball loose, which ran the clock down, and that was the end of the game, and Utah State escaped. So, look, this was always going to be a difficult game. I know they won by 32 a week and a half ago, but coming off of the big wins over San Diego State and New Mexico on the road, and then back-to-back on the road in high altitude, it didn't matter that a couple guys were out for Wyoming. You figured this was going to be a tough game. Every time Utah State looked like they were going to pull away, Wyoming made a shot. That was the last thing I wanted to look at here on this stat sheet was the bear with me here, was the points per possession. 1.23 for Wyoming, 1.31 for Utah State. Those are pretty efficient numbers, okay? Pretty efficient numbers. So good game, well-played game, and the Aggies got out of Dodge. They did what they needed to do. You get a win in that place, you'll take it and move on. Okay, now the last game that we're going to talk about was actually the first game of the day, and as usual, because it involved UNLV, was the most comical, entertaining, whatever other terms you want to use to describe it. Final was 80-78 in favor of UNLV. So again, much like the Utah State game, tough to win on the road. Okay. Now it's odd. It's ironic because let me say this first. The Havocs kind of took over the Thomas and Mack. I don't know. I heard differing reports, 300, 500, whatever. They bust a bunch of students up, which is pretty cool, right? You don't see this a lot in college sports. You just don't, right? You don't see teams taking students to road games. And now we've had it twice this year when Utah State students invaded Boise, and we saw today with Grand Canyon students invading the Thomas and Mack. Maybe, because I don't really see or I haven't heard about it, maybe the two biggest road student invasions in the country all season. It just doesn't happen, right? You don't have the access to tickets. You're not going to travel very far. Whatever it is, it just doesn't happen a whole lot, right? Now, the funny thing is, and somebody said this after the game, it probably worked in UNLV's favor because they have no home crowd there. I know they announced like 6,000 people there. There's a 0% chance that there were 6,000 people there, okay? There's probably a 0% chance that there were 4,000 people there. I don't know, but every view and angle that they showed, the only people there were that pocket of GCU students and then a smattering of people here and there. Certainly not multiple thousand, okay? But UNLV plays better on the road because whatever, they're UNLV. And so with the Grand Canyon students there, maybe UNLV felt it was a road game, and that's what kind of got them over the line. Now, aside from that, the game itself, much credit. Let me just say this first, because I'll admit when I'm wrong. I have no problem doing that. Much credit to the Rebels for showing up and playing today. I know that sounds like a very low bar, okay? But when BJ kept showing those clips on the Wednesday show, the night after that fiasco against Fresno, even like Gibbs Lawhorn. So let me make a comparison here. You hear Fielder and Andrews talk, and they say all the right things, like, and the phrases they use, you can tell it comes from the staff, from the coaches. Like they just talk like they've been coached up about what's going on, okay? Meanwhile, after the game Tuesday night, the clips that BJ played Wednesday from Gibbs Lawhorn, when he's blaming the officials, okay, saying that they got the game stolen from them, right? Like, where does that come from? Okay, maybe him, but from the coaching, or it's not addressed by the coaching staff to say, like, we blew this one. We blew this one by our idiocy. Not the officials. We blew this one, right? So you can just tell the difference. And that's just an example. Boise's not the only program that would be that way. On the other side, UNLV might be the only program that is that way. It's just not a good look. But back to my point, I did not think they would show up here after the way they blew that game. And they did. They came out ready to play. They were engaged, especially Gibbs Lawhorn. He was ready to go. On the flip side of the coin, GCU was not. Horrible effort from GCU for 38 minutes. Really bad, okay? They were not ready to play against the UNLV zone or whatever switching defenses Pastner was throwing at them. They were not engaged. They were a step slow defensively, like everywhere. Like they made Gibbs Lawhorn look like Kobe, I said at halftime. John Scott, a good New Mexico fan, follower, I don't know if he's in here. He's probably a little bummed out about his Lobos loss, but he had a very good comparison and said that Gibbs Lawhorn is pretty much like Jalen House, right? Like just the way he plays. He's running his mouth all the time. He's a streaky shooter, probably more talented offensively than House is Gibbs Lawhorn, and probably not quite the Nat defensively that House is, but certainly there's some similarities there. But they made Gibbs Lawhorn look like an All-American today, all right? The way he was just carving through whatever GCU was trying to do did not work at all. And so, that Benarby, the big guy, and like twice, or maybe it was him once and Stephen another time. Maybe it was Benarby twice, like against different defenders, like shot faking from the 3-point line and driving by guys. He's not shooting threes. Why are you closing out on him and getting beat off the dribble by him? Like, what are you doing? Okay. So lack of focus. Maybe they just expected to roll in here and win the game. I mean, this was the worst we've seen them look by far since December. I don't even know which specific game, but when I didn't think they were very good in the non-con. They were not good today. Now, let's address the last 2 minutes here because that's when it really got interesting. On top of the carnage of Tuesday night when they blew a 5-point lead with 6 seconds left and lost in regulation, comes the circus of this last minute and a half. Now, before I do that, since I haven't done it yet, I'll shout out to Sun Cruiser. BJ did that. I'm not going to play any ads or anything, but let's give Sun Cruiser a shout out. And they're at the bottom line again, out at Mountain West BNN. Need a couple more subscriptions to get to 500, actually. So hopefully we can get those by the end of this show. We're at 498 as we tipped off here. So that would be nice to get to 500. Anyway, UNLV's up. Literally, they're up 15 with 2 minutes left. I mean, the game is over. The game's over. It's a 15-point game with less than 2 minutes left, okay? And then the fun begins because I swear, like UNLV, they just do it for fun, right? And next thing you know, the bucket, then a turnover, and then this, and it's down to like 9, and it's like, okay. And then it's down to like 7, and then it's down to 6, and before you know it, like it's pressure's on, okay? And it got like really hairy. I mean, you see the final score is 80-78. That included a layup at the buzzer by Henley, I think, which reminds me, let me address that first. Henley was bad today. And I don't get it. I don't get why. I mentioned the other night, Albury playing against his former team, how that's always an issue. And I thought that affected him against Utah State. But I didn't make the same comparison for Henley because he played 1 year at UNLV, but the coach is gone and the whole roster's gone. So like he has zero allegiance to anybody in that building. So I don't know why, but you can't tell me, anybody that watched them can't tell me that he didn't play differently today. Okay. I even sent out a tweet joking that like this was his best game for UNLV in 2 years because he was poor. Now he did add some points to the ledger, in the last couple minutes in garbage time. He finished with 17. That's the quietest 17 you'll ever see. He shot 5 of 16 and 0 for 5 from 3. He did have 10 rebounds, so he did rebound the ball well today. There's no doubt about it, and that's great. Gibbs Lawhorn with 29. I didn't really read the numbers off before. Gibbs Lawhorn at 29. What else? Henley, it's amazing that Henley at 17. Owusu Anane was really good with 19 and 13, but just not a good effort by GCU. But anyway, so, the game comes down to stretch then, and it's just like everything that UNLV does, like it's the opposite of what a well-coached team does. And I don't understand how on the heels of the collapse on Tuesday night, you are not razor sharp in every aspect of that. Now, part of the problem is who knows who's in the lineup at what point, because it's a running joke. We should create like a drinking game, right? They cannot play without fouling. What do we get tonight? Who fouled out? Well, Hamilton, shocker. He's like a minus 200 favorite to foul out in every single game. Williamson had 4, Brown had 5, Steffen and Benarby 4. Gibbs Lawhorn only 2. That's a miracle, to be quite frank. But anyway, like these guys, like in Hamilton, he when you're in like when you play JV basketball in high school, maybe even junior high, depending on how good your coaches are, one of the first things that they should tell you and do, at least when I was coaching, is, the foul 90 feet from the basket out of frustration, right? You miss a shot, you don't get a rebound, you turn the ball over, the other team grabs it, and you just like reach in because you're frustrated and you're ticked off that, you missed a shot or whatever. And they're 85 feet from the basket and you reach in and foul. And it's the most infuriating. Well, I shouldn't say that. The second most infuriating foul behind the epidemic that we have here in the conference today of freaking fouling 3-point shooters. Okay. I so much has happened that I forgot about that. I think it happened like 6 times alone in the Utah State-Wyoming game, and it happened at least 4 other times. And I missed the entirety of the San Diego State game, the first half of Nevada, and the first half of Colorado State. So that's basically 2 more games that I missed. So it happened at least 10 times today, if not more. Like, it is absurd. I said it earlier. Honestly, like you should get 4 free throws for it. And if the guy makes a 3, you should get 2 free throws. I want to suggest that to like the rules committee. It is absurd. Like I understand sometimes the officials make bad calls on it. Happens sometimes. I don't care. It is the dumbest thing you can do as a defensive player. Okay. The dumbest. And it is infuriating when it happens. And so, if you get called for a foul, 99% of the time, you deserve it on a three-point shooter. Okay, I don't care if you foul him or not. Okay, you do. But anyway, aside from that, this is the dumbest foul, and Hamilton does it every game. And I just don't understand how it's not coached out of him or corrected. I don't get it. Much along the lines of the stuff they do at the end of the game. Okay, and then Pastner today tried to break out the old gimmick where, you know, the guy's on the baseline taking the ball out, and we're going to run somebody else to the baseline and throw it across the baseline to kind of trick the defense, and then somebody else will be open. And they did that twice, and it was the most awkward looking baseline to baseline thing you'll ever see. The spacing was horrible. The angles were horrible. It looked like he just drew it up on the board, like in the locker room at halftime, like this was an AAU game. And then when they try to inbound it again at half court in like a one possession game with 10 seconds left, they throw like another lob over the top, and like Stephen had to rescue it, like his foot was this far from being out of bounds in it, you know, and Grand Canyon would have had the ball down too. It's just like they can't do anything right. I just don't understand it. I don't understand what they do at practice. You know, this isn't Air Force. They're not out there, you know, flying planes and stuff. Like, I don't know what they're doing. So clearly it's not working on end of game stuff. Clearly. Okay. Now, did they win? They won. They won because Grand Canyon didn't show up for 38 minutes. You can't build yourself a 15-point hole against anybody and expect to win the game with like less than 4 minutes left. And there was less than 2 minutes left. Okay. So, you know, this was as much about Grand Canyon being poor as it was about UNLV doing well, and they still don't know how to finish games. It's comical. It's comical. And I said, like, I was praying basically for GCU to have the ball down by 3 in the late stages, because I wanted to see, for the life of me, I wanted to see if Pastner would foul. Okay, we almost got it. We almost got it. Like, it was this close to happening. I wanted to see if Pastner would foul again, because now twice he's been burned by it, and he doesn't seem to learn some other things yet. I hate to say it. Okay, I want to give the guy the benefit of the doubt, but it just doesn't look smooth. What the operation out there doesn't look good at all. Okay. Now, on the flip side of the coin, I think you could stick a fork in GCU's at-large hopes here, okay? New Mexico's not dead and buried yet. They're in trouble, okay? They're going to need to win on Wednesday or Tuesday. I have to look at the schedule. They're going to have to win Tuesday or Wednesday in Grand Canyon. They lose that game, they're it might come down to them then sweeping the games against San Diego State and at Utah State. And obviously that's not going to be easy. So, you know, you can't do this. I mean, I don't know what this is going to be, maybe a quad 2 loss or a quad 3, but again, too many losses here now coming on. There's just too many losses. But back to Grand Canyon, they were sneaking on like bracketologists, like not next 4 out and stuff, but they were sneaking on to lists of, you know, possible bids, right? You know, and they had the schedule with the opportunities to get wins. Beating New Mexico coming up here in a few days. As I'm pulling the schedule up, that game is Wednesday. It's a Soul game Wednesday. So it's a pretty light midweek. I'll get to that in a second. But, you know, had they won that game, you know, they have to go to Utah State and San Diego State. Now, nobody expects them to win those games. And if they lose those games, it's a moot point anyway. They're not going to be near the bubble. But this is exactly the type of opportunity you want if you're Grand Canyon. We have an opportunity to go play at Utah State. We have an opportunity to go play at San Diego State. If we win those games, our butt's going to be on the bubble, right? And you know, darn near on or above it, right? But you can't lose this game here, okay? And you know, you can't just not show up ready to play and lose this game. So very disappointing. They're pretty much cooked. You know, we'll say Nevada's fighting with like a 10% chance right now. I'd put New Mexico back down at like 30% right now. I think they're in trouble. So we're looking at 2 bids. San Diego State's not even clear either for sure, okay? So who knows? I'd say 2 bids right now is the likely outcome. We do have a shot at 3, but things are going to have to fall the right way. All right, let me get to some of the comments here before I look at the Tuesday and Wednesday midweek schedule here. That is okay. All right. Let's see. All right. There was some good stuff in here. The UNLV loss really hurts. 100%. Yeah, I mean, a couple losses hurt you guys up there, and there's no doubt. Yeah, Mr. Fielder, that second half was filth. Incredible, incredible. And that's basketball sometimes. I always say over the course of a season as a team, you're going to have a couple games where the other team just outshoots you and it's going to be tough for you to win, right? And that was tonight if you're New Mexico. Boise made a high percentage of shots and Fielder too. Now, we know Fielder can shoot the three a little bit, right? But do you expect the guy to make 5 threes in a game? Probably not. I don't know that he's done it all year, okay? Let's see. Yeah, the pit, very, very good atmosphere. BJ was raving about it. Not surprised at all. Yeah, Steve, I think that's an accurate point. New Mexico has skilled players. They're just not athletic, and they don't match up well. I agree, and that was something that I wondered about the other night. They have skilled players. They know how to play the game, okay? But the athleticism of guys like Haupt and Hall is not off the charts. Albury, yes, but it's almost like too much. Like he can't rein it in. Right. And again, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Chol, massive, massive disappointment. He played 25 minutes tonight. He had 4 points on 2 of 4 shooting and 1 rebound and 1 assist and 1 turnover. So just not good enough. So when you're only playing 8 guys and really like Miller again, Miller's not much. He's just filling minutes out there. So when you're playing 7 guys and Rock only played 10 minutes, I thought Rock was pretty effective. I would have given him a few more minutes in 10 minutes. But when you're only playing 6.5 guys and one of them scores 4 points and he's a guy you expected stuff from, it's tough to beat teams, that make 15 threes. I mean, that's a weird way of looking at it, but that's just another way you can kind of, break this one down because you need more out of Chol. You need more out of Chol. So, what do we got here? That was, these comments were way earlier. I'm way behind on this stuff as I kind of look through these. Yeah, I think, Grand, you're right. They certainly now, we said the other night, I know they had lost to Grand Canyon whenever, but that they pretty much beating Nevada had cemented their place in the top half at 6. Now, is 6 that much different than 5? Probably not. I mean, San Jose State's got a pulse at least, okay? And if you play around with your food, Miles can jump up and get you, okay? You don't want to be any lower than 6, and I don't think Boise will get there. Can they get to 5 to really get this quasi bye against Air Force? They could. We already mentioned it, right? New Mexico's got a tough schedule to finish. So does Grand Canyon. So one of those 2 teams is going to lose their 5th game on Wednesday. So if Boise takes care of business when they play UNLV, they'll be a game behind one of those teams, and they swept New Mexico and have the tiebreaker over them. So obviously they don't have the tiebreaker over Grand Canyon, so they would want Grand Canyon to win and stay ahead of them because they would have the tiebreaker over other pieces. Yeah, Derek, there's no doubt. I mean, if Andrews isn't the player of the week, there should be an investigation. I don't really get into that stuff, and I know people complain that they make the wrong choices all the time. I don't see how you can get this one wrong. 58 points, 10 assists, 19 and 20 from the line. And as Leon pointed out when we heard from Leon earlier, only 1 turnover tonight. That's pretty impressive. In that place, you're getting harassed by Tannett and Albury and the crowd. 1 turnover, pretty good. So, look, I was hard on him for a lot of the season. And, he showed up tonight. There's no doubt about it. I don't even know if you're here anymore, baseball guy, but that's my point, right? There's not a lot of good options with that roll the ball up, right? Like you just have to eat it. You have to just take it. The only other thing you can do is come out and play because I thought about, as I said, I've thought about this. You could come out and play like a zone press, right? Like a 2-2-1 where then again, they're going to have to pick the ball up and then you kind of rotate back. But again, if you're prepared for that, the thing is you might be able to catch them off guard with that once. Okay. Adam, I wish it was that easy to just make them pick it up and start the clock. It's just not that easy because the second that you run at them, they're picking it up and going by you or initiating contact. And so that's, Abe said it. And I was thinking about it as I saw the questions roll in and BJ was doing his interviews, and that was going to be my exact same answer that, you got to worry about the foul and you got to worry about them going by you guys. Okay. All right. Yeah, I know it's frustrating. I totally get it. Let's see. What else do we got here? Yep. Totally agree there. Yeah, Adam, I talked about this a second ago. They're not quite on life support, but they're about their pulse is slowing down. Let's just say, okay, they will be on life support if they lose on Wednesday in Phoenix against Grand Canyon, because 3 in a row, they still don't have marquee wins. So they have to fix that by winning at Utah State. If they would lose on Wednesday, to answer your question, yes. Okay. Yeah, but here's the thing, Tyler. People have tried this. I know Boise didn't do this tonight, but other teams have tried this. They've tried to jab at them. That's when I use the phrase jab at them. Okay, you jab at them and then you back up. But most of the players, it's funny, and this is why I said guys have gotten good at this. They don't even fall for that anymore. They don't. They know you're not going to dig in because you're closer to the ball. The guys are so close to the ball that if you go down that far, as backwards as you might think it is, as the defender, you're the one that's going to get tagged for the foul if the offensive guy reaches down to pick it up. Okay. I'm telling you. Okay. Yeah. I get it. I know you weren't disagreeing. Yeah, absolutely. Derek talked about it. Yeah. GCU, Utah State, and at Nevada. I didn't even mention at Nevada. Yeah. So, I mean, look, if they win these games, they're going to earn themselves a spot to the tournament, but I don't know. Yeah. So Josh says, we don't have the athleticism to recover if they pick it up and sprint toward the hoop. Yeah, that's absolutely right. It's tough. Okay. I know you want to think it would work easily, but it just wouldn't. Okay. Let's see. Anything else? Oh man. Okay, Boise bad match. Yeah, for sure. Boise matches up well with Nevada, with New Mexico. There's no doubt. Yeah, John, Boise no field goals the last 450. I mean, but look, they made plenty of field goals in the first 35 minutes. I mean, how many did they make for the game? What would they make? They made 25 field goals. New Mexico only made 35. But I mean, again, I don't know. The free throw attempts were 27-21, and I'd have to look, but I'm going to pretty much guarantee that it was even until the last minute or so with fouls. So I don't, Boise wasn't effective offensively in the last couple minutes when they were trying to milk the lead, but there were a lot of fouls in there. So, 14 free throws. Yeah. Hey, I mean, I don't know. That should put the conspiracies to bed about the Gloria with the Pac schools getting the shaft all the time, right? I mean, I didn't think anything of it as I was watching it, right? Like I didn't think there was anything nefarious about the officials, right? Like I don't know. Yeah, absolutely, Tyler. That's you've heard that Jeff Grammer said that going back one of the first times we had him on here, that one of their defensive philosophy a lot was to let guys shoot threes. And to be fair, okay, our conference isn't littered with great shooting teams. I wouldn't consider Boise a great shooting team. I wouldn't. Same thing with Wyoming. I've said that a lot. UNLV, Grand Canyon, on and on it goes. Even San Diego State and Nevada, not great three-point shooting teams. I think you could put Utah State as a good shooting team. Okay. And I don't think New Mexico is a great shooting team. They don't play defense against themselves. So I think there's some decent shooters in the conference. But I don't think they're great shooting teams. Okay. And so it hasn't burned New Mexico a lot. And Olin he doesn't want to give up the three, but you're going to give something up. And he wants to give up the three. And it burned him tonight. Boise made 15 threes. He probably, if you would have told them that before the game, he would have said, we're in a little bit of trouble. But he's not going to expect them to make 15 threes. These two teams played a month ago. Boise won the game, but they scored 62 points. So, I mean, what you just don't expect that to happen. Okay. What do we got here? Yeah, I don't know about that, but okay. Yeah, the bubble is always soft, though, Sick. I mean, the bubble is soft. And I mean, the fact remains we still have a month left of the season to go to see what other teams are going to still get in there. No, we're not. I mean, we're just kind of mentioning Boise. They're not going to be in the tournament mix. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, good game. Yeah, I know. Everybody's talked about it. Would like to see them play moving forward here in the non-con. But anyway, as I keep scrolling down here, because I'm a half hour behind on the comments, and I do want to get to some of them. Let's talk about the midweek here. So you heard with Boise off, but a bunch of teams are off. So we only have 3 games on Tuesday and then 1 on Wednesday. So the New Mexico Grand Canyon game is Wednesday in Phoenix. Talked about that. So I'll talk about that one a little bit more on Tuesday night when we're in here after the triple header. So Tuesday, what do we have? We have Fresno at Utah State. We have Colorado State at Air Force. So this is really 2.5 games then. And we have San Jose State at UNLV. Woof, woof. Oh, boy. Okay. So we don't exactly have a thrilling Tuesday slate. Looks like San Diego State is off. We have Boise is off. Nevada is off. And one other team is off. Who am I missing there? Wyoming is off. So we have Wyoming, Nevada, San Diego State, and Boise are off. And then New Mexico and Grand Canyon is the best game, but it's Wednesday. So the Tuesday slate is pretty bleak. Utah State going to have to hold off Fresno at home. And, I mean, our hope for a good game is the fact that UNLV plays against San Jose State. And there's always the potential for nonsense in that game. I mean, beyond that, that's as pretty weak a slate as you can get for a Mountain West slate in the midweek. So that's pretty weak. So I really don't need to talk about that a whole lot. It is after 2:00 here. We've been on here for an hour and 40 minutes. Now, this was a joint show, as we had talked about all along, and BJ spent, the first 30 or 40 minutes doing some of his interviews. We have fans from plenty of other schools. I just don't know that they're here now. It is pretty late. New Mexico fans are pretty bummed out. Who else do we have here? Yeah, Sean, Nevada did clamp down on Hydrator. I mean, from what I saw. So that's a credit to Alford. I mean, look, you figured Alford would have a good game plan. When these two teams played back in Fresno, Fresno led much of the way, but it was a low-scoring defensive game. I mean, maybe it got up into the low 60s at the end. So this was a good matchup defensively for Alford. They held them to 59 again tonight. So nice job there by the Pack. What else do we got here? Nevada has a gauntlet coming up, Mike says, at San Diego State versus New Mexico versus Utah State, and a trap game at San Jose State. I mean, you can't lose at San Jose State then. They've proven to be feisty a little bit, but they haven't beaten anybody with a pulse. So, obviously it's not a fun game to play when you have those other games, but you got to win that game, and we'll see what happens. Obviously you got to win your home games. Can they beat New Mexico and Utah State? They beat New Mexico and Utah State. We'll have to start having a conversation about them in the tournament. If Haupt fouls out, do we win? I think so. Haupt played great. Sick. Wyoming had a chance to beat Utah State 100%. Look, that's not a good feeling when your team you're rooting for is on defense only up by 2 and a 3 beats you, right? Because it doesn't have to be a good shot. Doesn't even have to be a good shooter. All it has to do is go in one time. And a 30% shooter makes 3 out of his 10 threes. Okay? Yeah, absolutely. Tim Miles is a very good coach. San Jose State is not an athletic school. It just is what it is. Shame to see Miles kind of wasted there as his I don't want to say his career is almost over, but I don't know what kind of jobs he's going to get moving forward at this point. Yeah, Haupt missed some free throws. The Lobos did miss some free throws. They shot 15 out of 21, but it just seems like the ones they missed were shot, shooters, guys you want shooting, and they missed them. So yeah, tough. Keller said, you said it, must-win game for the Lobos. Yeah, tough environment, not gonna be an easy game. But yeah, you got to win that game if you want to get in a tournament. This is what you got to do, right? You think you're a tournament team, you got to do it. Okay. Andrews was the man. Utah State. Yeah, I mean, kind of a collapse. Maybe 1 or 2. I feel like I don't want to be throwing all the shade at UNLV and then giving Utah State a free pass. They didn't play clean in the last minute and a half. I didn't think there was a ton very egregious about what they did or didn't do. I thought the last couple of years it was much worse. Certainly last year, I thought that was a problem. It's early in the year, middle of the year, they were struggling to close games out, and I thought it was an issue. I didn't really think that's been a problem for much of the year, and I didn't think it was a problem tonight. Maybe if I was just focused on some other things. And anyway, who are 3, 4, 5, in my opinion. It's a very good call, Sean, because, the fact of the matter is, like, the teams have beaten each other at home. New Mexico beat Nevada at home, right? Nevada beat GCU at home, and New Mexico beat GCU at home. So, or did I say that? I'm losing my mind here. So, and Grand Canyon, well, I guess they didn't beat either of them yet. So, I don't know. It's tough. I mean, I guess by default right now it's New Mexico. I think clearly what you're seeing, and this is what's happened a lot over the last few weeks, are the tiers are becoming more kind of obvious as more and more games are played. And the top two now have kind of separated themselves from 3 through 6. And you have to throw Boise in there. I know they split with Nevada and they got swept by Grand Canyon, but they just beat New Mexico here. So, I mean, I think 3 through 6 is up for grabs after the top two. So those two have kind of separated themselves. I'd be stunned if anybody other than those top two teams wins the regular season conference championship. As far as 3 through 6, look, they all have games against each other. It's going to be interesting. We talked about Nevada's gauntlet. We talked about New Mexico's gauntlet. Grand Canyon laid an egg today, so let's see if they bounce back on Wednesday. Those are two desperate teams, okay? Should be a very good game. I just don't know because, like, all those teams, I think they struggle for offense, right? Like, I've said that all year about Grand Canyon. I've said it all year about Nevada. I don't know that I've said it as much about New Mexico because they seem to get good shots, right? But you're not going to get 30 every night from Luke Hopt, right? Like he's not an offensive dynamo, right? And so, man, like if you're not getting offense from some of the other guys, and Boise's okay defensively. Leon knows what he's doing defensively, but this isn't one of his best defensive teams. So they gave up 90 tonight. I don't. So I don't know. It's tough for me to say. Like I said, by default right now it's New Mexico, but I'm not buying stock right now in any of those teams to like make a huge run. Somebody's going to win those games against each other. I can't tell who it is. I can't tell who it is. No idea. All right, let me see if I want to get to anything else or get out of here. A lot of Boise fans still in here from the start of the show. They're excited. Totally understand that, and they should be. It's been a long season for them, and this is a good one to enjoy. Let's see. Okay. I think we're going to shut it down. It is after 2 o'clock here. There's many of you in here, and I really appreciate you guys sticking it out late on a Saturday night. Give Sun Cruiser one more shout here, and one more shout on the bottom line for those of you who are not already subscribed to my show here on Another Night in the Mountain West at Mountain West BNN. It's also in my profile on Twitter. So it was 2:41 left. I thought it was 2 minutes left, but still, that's not much better with 2:41 left. UNLV up by 15. They just don't know how to play. They just don't know how to play. They don't know how to close games out. They don't know how to do things the right way, which most of the teams in this league do, okay, because they're well coached. They understand game and time and score and situation. I guess I should discuss this too, Kay Wilson, is, I forgot about this. Too much other stuff happened. What I need to do is start taking notes here because I'm sure there's other stuff I forgot. But, GCU should recruit a pro player. So that came out maybe I think Thursday night with Amari Bailey, the former UCLA player, who I guess he was at the game tonight? No, they played a road game. So he's going to be at the game Wednesday or somewhere. He's coming to GCU for a visit. He's played 10 games in the NBA. Now, here's the thing. I don't blame Grand Canyon. I know they're an easy mark here for people that already don't like them. They're an easy mark and to attack Grand Canyon. I don't begrudge them for doing this. And to be honest, even though it's kind of lame, I don't know that I begrudge Bailey for doing it. Okay. You make more money with NIL these days than you do playing in the G League. Okay. So if you can't cut it in the pros and you can't cut it in the G League and you don't want to fly over and go play in Europe, why not try and come back? Whose fault it is the NCAA. Okay. Or it's the fault of like the fact that we're in a litigious society, and when we sue, like people are afraid to stand up and give in all the time to these lawsuits. And as a result, you have pro players now coming into college. So it's not really college athletics anymore, which we know, right? I mean, the NIL has kind of just blown that up, but we still should not have guys who have played in pro basketball coming down and playing in college basketball. So I know GCU is an easy target for this, right? GCU is an easy target, but I don't blame them, because if they don't take Bailey, somebody else is going to take Bailey, right? And make the NCAA or somebody like actually grow a spine and a backbone and say, we're not allowing this, right? I know they've tried with that guy at Alabama, Bediako or whoever. They've tried. But the temporary restraining order says he can play until the judge rules on it, and whatever. Now this isn't until next year for Bailey, so he's not playing this year. But if it's wild if they allow it to happen and they don't just shut this stuff down, because it's not okay, right? It's not okay. How about that? Farrell Compton, 0 fouls. Yeah, see, then again, I don't know what Air Force even did tonight. Did they just shoot threes like they've been doing a lot lately? I mean, I just looked. They took 48 shots from the field. 22 of them were threes. So, I mean, they haven't really been running a lot of offense. They certainly don't have, I guess they have one or two guys inside, but good for Compton. Okay. Yeah. I don't even remember what. Oh, yeah, that's right. I made that comment about UNLV not practicing, because, look, that's what Air Force does. I don't begrudge Air Force for their lack of stuff, because they're doing other things that are more important, right? Okay. Let's see. I don't see this level of last 2-3 minute collapse of the cross college hoops. Well, again, I'm not going to sell Utah State out on this until I see it being a repeat thing. I think the outlier in this is UNLV, to be honest. Okay. I'm sure it's happened in other games. I know BJ could tell you, he's not here, but Kansas pulled a game out against somebody. They were down like 9. Was it Baylor, or it was somebody else, Missouri or Iowa State or somebody, like a month ago? They were dead in the water and pulled like a miraculous, it was TCU. They pulled a miraculous comeback out and won in overtime. Just tonight, Duke was up. I didn't watch it, but I was getting updates about it. Duke was up by like 6 or 7 with a couple minutes left, and North Carolina goes on a 9-0 run to end the game and win. So it happens a little bit. I think it just magnified when you see some of the sheer stupidity that UNLV does out there on the floor. It's absolutely wild. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like, I guess Pac-Fan, look, BJ's told me to just talk like I would on my pod. I get it. I've been critical of him, but look, I'm pretty sure some of his media in Vegas has been critical of him too. And he still does his media things, although those are kind of required. He's not required to do this. And maybe, if he listens, or one of his assistants listens and says that I've been hard on him. Like, look, I apologize. I try to be fair. I praise people when they do well. And I call out guys when I think that they're being not doing things the way that I would do it. Doesn't mean that I'm always right, okay? But I don't think anybody that watched the end of that UNLV game today, or the end of their game on Tuesday against Fresno, would say that they're executing well down a stretch, okay? I just, nobody could say that, okay? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's, they're an underdog right now as the conference to get 3 bids. Okay. It's not, thank you, Nadine. I appreciate you saying that. That's why BJ brought me on here, because I'm objective. I don't have any bias. I don't favor any of these teams. I just kind of call it like I see it. But yeah, we're an underdog right now to get 3 teams. Okay. We can, but we're an underdog. I hope it happens, but I will say this. If everybody else slips out of contention, right, except for San Diego State and Utah State, then the odds of somebody else winning the conference tournament are higher, right? Like, it would be just one of those 2 teams. And certainly they can. They're the 2 best teams in a conference. But you'll have a dangerous New Mexico, a dangerous and maybe hot Boise State, a dangerous Nevada, a dangerous Grand Canyon. You'll have 4 teams that could win it, and 2 of them will be in the semifinals. Maybe matched up, well, probably not match up against each other. They'll be playing against the 2. But all you got to get is one of those teams to get through to the final, right? Who knows? Okay. So yeah, I'd rather have 3 teams to be locked in, but it doesn't seem to be that way. And so you just got to kind of take it what it is. Okay. Yeah, they do, Grant. But why I'm saying that about the 5th seed is because the 5th seed is going to play Air Force. Okay. And even though that you still have to suit up and go play, that's as close to like a bye as you can get. Okay. You're still here. Appreciate you still being here. I'm still 20 minutes behind on the comments. Am I allowed to say who I root for? So here's the thing. I really don't root for anybody. I will say that as we get closer to the end of the season, I root for the teams that have a chance to get into the tournament because I want more of our teams to get in. Okay. I don't like rooting against our teams. I root for entertaining basketball. I root for good things to watch and to see things that we've never seen before, like most UNLV games, like the game today with UNLV, like the game Tuesday with UNLV, like the Boise San Diego State game a month ago, right? Like tonight's game. Great games with great atmospheres, that come down to the wire, that have good shot making, good plays. I don't like the controversy with the officials, all that stuff, okay? All of that, whatever, right? So, that's what I'm here for. Okay. And I get it. Yeah. Grant, as a fan of a team, it's hard for you to root for somebody else. I don't have a rooting interest of these teams. I respect the teams and the coaches. Okay. That's one of the reasons why I started following it, because I love the coaching in the conference. That's why I'm so critical of like Pastner and Kruger last year. And I thought about this, and I will cut it off soon. I just keep going here. And at this point, even though it's 2:30, it feels like it's midnight. I don't even care. So I really think, and maybe if anybody in here from UNLV listens to this, maybe you can spread the word here. I really think you guys should consider going a game without making a 3. End that streak, and maybe it'll just like clear the juju and bad mojo out of the program that you seem to have. Okay. I know you won today, so this doesn't really seem like the best day to do this because you did get a nice win today, but like everybody just associates your program right now with like what you guys are. You can beat anybody and you can lose to anybody. You have no consistency. I don't want to say like they think your program's like a joke, but fans of other teams around the conference don't respect your program as like a consistent threat to win a championship, which is what it's all about, right? Is it great that you can beat Utah State 3 weeks ago? Is it great that you could beat Grand Canyon? Sure, it's great. But you're also losing games that you shouldn't lose, right? Over and over again. So, like, is that what you want? No. So, and it doesn't seem to change no matter who the coach is, no matter who the players are. So you need to do something to kind of shift the momentum there, or just the overall aura of what's going on in your program. And the only way to do that is to get rid of this gosh darn 3-point make streak. You have it. You have the record. You'll always have the record to this point. Get rid of it. Go a game without making a 3. Don't shoot a 3 next game out, whatever. Or next year, first game against a D2 opponent, don't shoot a 3, okay? End the streak, start a new thing later on, clear the mojo out, maybe spray some incense or whatever the heck you do with that stuff. I don't even know. Nicholas says UNM will lose 4 more games and make the NIT if you're lucky on the next season. Hopefully keep the coach. Yeah, it's interesting. That would really be a double kick in the somewhere in your body if you don't make the tournament and Olin still gets scarfed up, because Olin gets a lot of respect. Now, the further that they go, the more he will. Oh, look at that. Appreciate that. BJ's still watching from the room. We're up over 500. We got a few during the show. Excellent. Appreciate you guys. Miles Heidi hit a 3 today, so I have to take that back. Good for Miles Heidi. Excellent job, Miles. Okay. Stepping out and expanding your game. So that's funny. That's a good comment. Yep. I watched this show just to hear me talk about UNLV. You're not the only person, I will say that. And, I really hate to do it, but it's like they say in like comedy sometimes, like the jokes write themselves, right? Like they're the ones that play into it with the way they finished the game today. Okay. Some of you guys were watching that game. That game was over with a capital O, capital V, capital E, capital R, and yet it ends as a 2-point game. They had to make a free throw or two, or as I said, Stephen had, or it wasn't Stephen, it was Bernardi, had to catch that ball on a terrible entry pass all the way across from half court, and he was inbounds by this much, or Grand Canyon gets the ball with a chance to win the game. So, like, they do it to themselves. I don't want to do that. I'd much rather talk about them being the way they were when Tark was there, okay? Running up and down and being the running rebels, okay? I don't want to bash them, but they give me the fodder to do it. What a game. Great game. Great game in the pit. We had 3 great games today. Well, the Grand Canyon game, I'm counting as a great game because of the last 2 minutes, okay? Okay, what else do we got? Kay Wilson subscribed after my UNLV rant. You know, one thing I will say is I am known for rants, and I don't like to do it often again because I like to be positive, but sometimes people get that. And absolutely, Pac-Fan, that's what I just said. You know, the card on Tuesday is not super, but I'm counting on the Rebels to give us something good to talk about. Good night, Mr. Baseball. Get some rest. Critical road game for Nevada at San Diego State on Saturday. Yeah, I mean, you're going to be a sizable underdog in that game. And yeah, I would expect the Grand Canyon New Mexico game to be very good. New Mexico drilled them in the pit by 20. But obviously that's going to, that's going to be difficult. Jordan, I don't know. That's a tough one. You know, I've been rooted here my entire life. I wouldn't mind certain things about out there, but I don't know. That's a good question. I'll have to think about that. Yeah, I'm still working on that, Nathaniel. I am trying. I promise. BJ said it. I'm trying. I know I'm trying, Jordan. I promise. Would you consider Boise's having a pulse? Well, so when I say a pulse, I kicked that off there. A family member gave me some grief because I know I'm quick on the trigger here with putting the comments on and then taking them off right away. So those of you that are still here after 2 hours, bless you. But the reason why I said when Boise has a pulse, they're playing great basketball. I meant in terms of having a pulse, not for postseason when I said that about somebody else. I just said it in terms of like not really playing super hard or engaged. Boise definitely has a pulse. As far as for the postseason, I just don't see it, right? They'd have to win every single game, and then they'd have to make it to the conference tournament because then they would lose there in the finals and finish with 10 losses, one of those being a D2 loss. I just don't see it happening, okay? Boise shot the hell out of the ball. Didn't predict or believe Andrews could have done it. Yeah, absolutely. You know, Albury missing 4 free throws. I don't, all those 2 that he missed at one point when he missed 2 in a row. He went 2 for 4. He didn't miss. Haupt missed 2, and Hall missed 1, which didn't help. But those 2 that Albury missed, he wasn't even close to those. That was pretty poor. But, whatever. He played a lot of minutes. He played hard. So Boise up 6 spots to 53 in Ken Palm. Win out, get a couple W's in 20, back on the bubble. I mean, yeah. I mean, look, let's as Fielder said, the process, right? Keep winning the games, and then we'll talk about it, right? That's what happened last time after they ran off 4 in a row before they lost to GCU. You got to talking about it because you ran off those wins. So run off the wins, and we can talk about it again, okay? Let's see. Ken Palm, as BJ says, has Boise favored in 6 of their final 7. Unfortunately, another loss in addition to a loss in a conference tournament, just going to be too much for them to overcome. Now, to BJ's point, that would mean they'd only have to pull off 1 upset. Okay, so doable. If the season ended today, has Nevada done enough to get an NIT bid? Absolutely. Yes, they have. Okay. Let's see. I don't know. Great answer. Yes, I assume, Sean, because I'm going by the time. I'm only 15 minutes behind on the comments now. That's how I'm trying to get out of here. I'm assuming that's your answer about the top 3, 4, 5 teams. Yeah, UNLV has 0 basketball IQ, and I don't know how Boise lost to them. I mean, Buchanan didn't play, but Boise wasn't. They weren't mentally in that game at that point. So yes, Nathaniel, the NCAA, they're like a rat or a mouse. They have no spine. Yeah, it's funny. Everybody thought tonight's game would be low scoring. That's why it's just tough to predict games, right? Because you just have no idea what's going to happen. And yeah, somebody said this today. Are pro football players or NFL players going to come back and play in college hoops or college football? I just have 0 idea. Okay. A good effort by the Aztecs tonight. Obviously, they pretty much just had a scrimmage, but good effort by them. Yeah, you did. I mean, you collapsed a little bit, but look, that was Utah State playing good, and it wasn't really in the last minute or two. It was in the 5 minutes ish. What did I do here? Hold on. What are we doing here? Oh, I hit the wrong button. Okay. Yeah, those are the chances for the at-large between the three teams at the top for sure. You're in California for the Super Bowl. Enjoy that. Yes, I am an Air Force fan. I would become an Air Force fan if they would relocate to the Patriot League. Who do I like to win the tourney? I mean, I guess I need to see the bracket first. I will say this. I would never pick the team that wins the regular season, okay? I just think it's very difficult to double up. You don't have as much of a mental edge then going into it because you've already kind of, you're going to be in the big dance. You already got a tournament. You already have a banner to hang. You're the champion already. So I would never pick whoever that is. Well, it doesn't even matter who it is. At this point, it's 95%. It's going to be either San Diego State or Utah State. So I would not pick whoever wins it between them. Okay. So maybe my favorite would be the 2 seed between whichever team doesn't win the regular season title. But let's see how the matchups go because, then you're going to have to play, a tough game in the semis against the 3 seed, which could be anybody at this point, right? So yeah, the Mountain West definitely is very good coaches. I love it. Absolutely. Okay. Parity is pretty wild. There's no doubt. Yeah, I am an Air Force fan. Yeah, Pastner. Yeah, he just hasn't gotten the game done here. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. I think it's about, I've caught up here. And UNLV Boise game when Menzies was the coach, they almost broke the streak. Interesting. Well, it was close a few weeks ago. They went to like the 12-minute mark until they got it. UNM has a postseason pulse, but it pretty much comes down to Wednesday night in Phoenix. I do not cover the women's hoops, Rail fan. It's just too much to do. Like I don't have the bandwidth to do it on nights that I am not following this stuff because I need to rest a little bit. Aztec schedule the next 2 weeks will tell us a lot. Tournament brutal for everybody. Yeah. Anybody could get it done. Yeah, appreciate that. TK, appreciate that. Thanks for doing it. It's a cool edition. Appreciate you being here and everybody else. Get out. I used to live about 15 minutes from Lafayette. I actually lived like 5 minutes from Lehigh. Well, probably about 2 minutes from Lehigh's campus, the big rival of Lafayette. I lived there for years. I know people who have coached there and played there in multiple sports and broadcasted there. I've been in that gym many a time, played there, coached there, broadcasted there, all kind of stuff. So Lafayette, the old Patriot League, that's where Air Force should go because that's where Navy and Army play in, and that's a comp for them. So it happened, I think, the year that San Diego State won must have been the year they went to the national championship game. Boise did it the year before that, and then San Diego State did it. So it happened 2 times since COVID, I guess. Let's see. Yeah, I guess that happened. Yeah, I was just kind of pointing out, Josh, that teams lose leads in the last couple minutes, and it doesn't necessarily mean that they collapsed. Yeah, Boise won in 22, and San Diego State doubled up both in 23. Yes. All right. So anyway, okay. Great show. Appreciate that. Keep it going. I have many places to visit. I'm not a great traveler, but I will try that. Where does Nevada finish? I mean, look, they could finish it. They're gonna finish anywhere from 3 to 6. If I had to guess right now, I would say 4. I would say 4. I mean, there's so many games between these teams. I mean, it's crazy. Thanks, Grant. Appreciate that. All right. Yeah, I can't believe it's 2:40. I need to get a snack or something. Maybe watch some Olympic stuff and get about 5 hours sleep before the little one wakes me up. So, all right, you guys have been the best. I appreciate y'all being here. I know it started kind of in a different way because we did the combined show with BJ, but we're over 2 hours here. This is even longer than when Grammer and BJ were in here. We talked forever. So one more shout out for Sun Cruiser. Go give Sun Cruiser a nice try. They got good product. Get Sun Cruiser out there. At Mountain West BNN. If you're not already subscribed, please do so. Just a free click to subscribe if you have a YouTube account at Mountain West BNN. Many people in here, a lot of you Boise fans fired up after the big game. Again, if you guys stuck in here for all 2 hours, appreciate you more than you know. So look, we'll be in here on Tuesday. Not the greatest slate, but we all know UNLV's on tap, so there will be something to talk about post game. And then, of course, the big one Wednesday between New Mexico and Grand Canyon. So you guys enjoy the Super Bowl. I'll probably be getting a nap or something during that time. Maybe the little one wants to watch it because she thinks it's pretty cool. So I'll watch a little bit of the second half with her. But that'll be a time for me to catch up on some other stuff. So appreciate all of you guys being here on another night in the Mountain West as we started with the combined show. BJ finished here, another night in the Mountain West. You guys get some rest. I'm about to get some rest. And we'll see you guys in here next time. Thanks. Good night.